and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I am joined as ever by Mr. Matt Turner, on what might be the most loaded podcast we've done in God knows how long, just in terms of the sheer volume of things we've got to cover. How are you? But don't be too long, because otherwise it's going to be a 12-hour podcast.
I'm great. I'm always great. Blessed to be alive. I hope everybody out there is great. Rob Goodwin, how are you? See, was that condensed enough for you?
Concise. I am only joking. Yeah, I'm good, man. I unfortunately ended up taking the wing mirror off my car today, so that's undrivable, which is great, because I don't know if you've realized this about me, Matt. Somehow, some way, there's always something. And, it always seems to happen. But yes, I managed to hit the corner of a trailer and completely wipe out my wing mirror. So Kirsty's got to take me to work tomorrow, which is grand. But apart from that, I cannot complain. Lots of great things to talk about in the world of Stardom. We've got an absolute shed load of news to talk about. We've got news from Marigold, who've announced their Corrigan Hall show. We've got a 5-star match to talk about, the first one since 2021. We've got Stardom out and about. We've got FWC in Oz Academy, Ruaka in Seedling. We've got an absolute shed load to talk about. But, Matt Turner, obviously, it is Valentine's Day tomorrow. And I know that there is a very, very, very lucky lady that has got a very nice double day planned with you.
Yeah, 2 dates. The idea was, and I texted you the other day. As we're recording this, is the 13th of February. So obviously Valentine's Day is the 14th. So the general idea was she wanted to go see the new Captain America movie, which, as you know, and our longtime listeners know, I always go see the Marvel movies or the DC movies the day it comes out. So again, the general idea, to make a long story short, is we were just going to do Valentine's Day on the 13th. We're going to go to dinner, and then we're going to go to the movie. So I did say, here's the game plan. We after I get done, I'm going to podcast. After I get done podcasting, we'll go to dinner. Here's the time for the movie. She said, is it Stardom Cast or is it Marigold? I said, Stardom Cast. She's like, how many shows? I said, 5 and a lot of news. So we're kind of going back and forth. And then finally, earlier today, she said, look, here's what we'll do. We will go this way. We're not rushed. You guys aren't rushing through the podcast. We're not rushing through dinner. We're not rushing to go throughout the door. Let's do the movie tonight, and we'll do dinner tomorrow. And I said, that's fine, but can you handle 2 dates in 24 hours with this guy? Folks, I'll report back. I will report back to see if she's able to handle it. But no, I'm super excited because, again, we have 5 shows to talk about, a whole bunch of great news. It's always great talking, Stardom with your partner, especially all these phenomenal shows that we're seeing and just the amount of ticket sales for these next handful of shows that are sold out or on near brink of sellouts or selling really well. And then after that, we're just going to have dinner at home and then rush off to the theater to see Captain America, Brave New World. If you remember, it was originally called New World Order. We thought we were having maybe an NWO heel turn, but instead they opted to go with the Brave New World off the Iron Maiden album. So if Bruce Dickinson is not in here singing over a big fight scene between the Red Hulk and Falcon Captain America, I'll be a sad boy. But no, I'm super excited for obviously talk about the show. Super excited for my double date with my wonderful wife, not only tonight but tomorrow. But how about you, buddy? What romantic stuff do you have planned for what we call a Hallmark holiday, my friend? It's a Hallmark holiday.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we don't tend to do anything big for Valentine's Day because, as you mentioned, it is something of a Hallmark holiday. But we'll spend the evening together, which is the main thing. Despite being together for 15 years, I do still enjoy being in her company. I don't know if she can say the same. But we will see. But yeah, so we'll probably watch a film. We'll have tea together. I've got her some mini eggs, which are her favorite. So, just it's the simple things. It's the simple things. We might go and see Captain America over the weekend. I don't know yet, but nothing major. Nothing major planned. But yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that later on because we've got some Valentine's Day shows to talk about because again, this week has been absolute carnage in terms of shows. We had 4 in 5 days from Stardom. We had 2 in a week from Marigold. We've had FWC in Oz Academy and Ruaka in Seedling. It's been a lot to sort of get our teeth around. But before we get into all of that, before we get into all the news, before we get into EO in the Rumble, in Elimination Chamber, and everything that you guys enjoy about the Stardom Cast, Mr. Matt Turner, I beg of you, tell us what's coming up on the Patreon this week.
Patreon, our alternate commentary that we released was Mina Shirakawa challenging Saya Kamitani for the Wonder of Stardom Championship back at the show from Hiroshima. That is, of course, the one phenomenal match, but that unfortunately is the match that she got injured in and then still cut not one but 2 great promos that ultimately eventually led her to chasing one Saya Kamitani and then eventually winning the Wonder of Stardom Championship. So that was our alternate commentary that got dropped this past week. Next week, our alternate commentary will be, I believe, from the 2020 Goddess of Stardom Tag League as Mina Shirakawa teams with Tam Nakano, Dream H, taking on the MK Sisters of Mayu Iwatani versus Starlight Kid. And boy, what a difference a year or 2 makes after that match, considering the fact that where those 2 teams and 4 wrestlers are. So I'm excited to watch that one with you next week, my friend. And then, of course, that'll be on your Patreon feed, which just got released just a few minutes ago before this recording. Matches with Matt, again, because it is We Want Mina month. Mina Shirakawa taking on Maika from the 2023 5-Star Grand Prix. And I haven't seen that match probably since it aired live a year and a half ago, and it was an absolute hidden gem of a match, not only in the 5-Star Grand Prix, but just one of the better matches in Stardom in 2023. Also, we will be having our roundtable discussion, should be dropped on your Patreon feeds in about a week or so, where myself and one Rob Goodwin, that handsome man right there, will be doing a roundtable discussion of our top 5 favorite all-time Mina Shirakawa matches for now, because she's on an absolute run here. So that's going to be fun talking with you, your top 5 and my top 5 Mina Shirakawa matches. And then this weekend, our tag team breakdown will be Mina Shirakawa and I'm sorry, that's already released. The tag team breakdown is already on your Patreon feed. Rose Gold when they defeated the New Eras for the tag team championship. I'm sorry, this weekend it'll be Is It Still 5 Stars? Me and Andy Header go back and revisit the champion versus champion title for title match, Mina Shirakawa and Tam Nakano. So much more stuff on your feed, past, present, and future. We have a few things up our sleeve at the end of this month, and I think I kind of have an idea what we're going to do for next month as well. That'll be an off-air conversation with me and you. Me and Andy already have some great ideas. So we see the Patreon numbers, especially since November, have really, really gone up. So we just want to keep giving everybody more bang for their buck. So again, thanks to all of our Patreon members, past, present, and future, because there's so much great content on there and so much great content coming in, not only for this month, but next month as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to everyone that has ever subscribed to the Patreon. We massively, massively appreciate your support. It helps us to do what we love to do. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe, patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. And Matt, I'm intrigued with this Is It Still 5 Stars? Because we talked about it. I remember very, very clearly talking about it when we did the review of that show. And we were both adamant that the match was really, really good. But does the finish, does that color opinions of the match? And I'm intrigued to hear the discussion that you and Andy have.
It's not the finish, it's the result that I still don't agree with. Yeah, the finish actually is what was like, it's a phenomenal match to.
It's a great finish, yeah.
A great finish, and it makes sense. And the great, again, this is the second time me and Andy has done Is It 5 Stars. So we're still kind of get our feet wet on how we're kind of going about it. But I realized, and I said it at the end of the episode, because again, obviously we recorded it just a few days ago, that we're breaking down what the great stuff in the match is and why we're getting excited and why it's at another level. And I think that's what we're going to do, is we're just kind of just breaking down, showing the psychology and the storytelling as it's going on. Almost like if you're watching a Marvel movie and you have like the commentator track from the director or like the star of the movie of like what's happening when and why it's so important. So I think that's kind of maybe how we're going to go about it. But yeah, it was Andy's first time watching it, and don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it, whether I still think it's 5 stars or if he thinks it's 5 stars. So again, that's going to be scheduled on your Patreon feed, I believe Saturday or Sunday. And I just remembered and then next week also Mina Shirakawa versus Natsupoi rivalry review. I'm scheduled to tape that with Andy early next week, so that'll be on your Patreon feed as well. So again, just a lot of really great stuff coming up, and we have a couple really cool things on tap for the month of March, because we don't stop here at the Stardom Cast, Rob Goodwin. We do not stop, but that's because of you, the fantastic fan base, friends and family of the Stardom Cast and Marigold Standard, that makes us just do this phenomenal podcast each and every day, because we want to get better for you, ladies and gentlemen.
And that's actually given me a fantastic transition into the news, Matt Turner, because for the first time since May 2021, Dave Meltzer, Big Davey Meltz, has finally awarded a Stardom match 5 stars. Of course, the last time that he rated a Stardom match 5 stars was the fantastic match between Utami and Syuri back at Tokyo Dream Cinderella in June 2021. And that got 5.5 stars, the first Stardom match to ever get 5 stars. It was followed not by Saya Kamitani versus Suzu, which is what I think we all assumed it was going to be. No, it was the Artist of Stardom Championship match. The Cosmic Angels team of Tam, Sayoriano, and Natsupoi against Starlight Kid, Miyu Amasaki, and Azumi. This, it's tremendous. It really is good that Stardom have another 5-star match under their belt. I feel like everyone in this match deserves it. The match was a really, really good match. I still can't quite believe that Miyu Amasaki has more 5-star matches than Mayu Iwatani. That still is something that I can't quite compute. But again, I feel like this match deserved it. I did enjoy the main event more, but again, that's like asking me which of my 2 joint favorite meals I liked more. Again, both of them are fantastic. It's a great bit of free publicity for Stardom, for all the Wrestling Observer newsletter readers, Matt.
I want to have a little fun with this segment, not only to pop me, to pop you, and to pop our listeners. This match, 5 stars. Awesome, right? Per Big Dave Meltzer. Again, the greatest person to ever cover wrestling ever, because he's been doing it 30 years, been able to feed his family. You got to give him credit for that. Per this match, per Big Dave Meltzer, this match is higher rated than Rock Hogan, WrestleMania 18, the 2 Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker matches at WrestleMania 25, 26. I can go on and on and on, but per Big Dave Meltzer, this match is rated better than any Kurt Angle match he's ever had, because you made mention Miyu Amasaki has a 5-star match. Mayu does it. You know who else doesn't have a 5-star match? Kurt Angle does not have a 5-star match.
Kurt Angle does not have a 5-star match.
Again, maybe Miyu Amasaki goes to the Olympics. Maybe she wins swimming or gymnastics. I don't know.
With a broken freaking neck.
Violin. I don't know, but no. It was so funny because I was on the road. This got released last Friday, and I was on the road. I was working a half a day, and then I told Lily I was going to take her to lunch and a movie. So I was running back and forth, and I just walked into the movies. You would text me and said, "How about that? Tam 1, Mayu 0, 5 stars." And I was really just kind of catching my breath, and I was just like, what's he talking about? And I thought, because it was so funny, because I think Amber had a church meeting online the other night, and I just happened to be rewatching 5-star Grand Prix matches. So for some reason, I had 5-star Grand Prix on the brain. So I was thinking that they've already announced the participants for the 5-star Grand Prix. I'm like, Tam's in the 5? Like, what are you talking about? You don't know? And I'm like, no. And then I'm like, you sent me the pictures. Like, wow, this match got 5 stars. I didn't even rate it 5 stars. And I'm always one to rate matches, especially the Joshi matches, a little bit higher than everybody else. So I was like, I gave it 4 3/4. And I think it's the greatest artist match of all time. I think it's slightly better than it was slightly better than the Restart versus Prominence match at All-Star Grand Queendom. But I was like, oh my God, what did Suzu and Saya Kamitani get? Because this is 5 stars, and you're like 4.5. And I was like, okay, whatever. And again, it's subjective.
You got the gentleman's 4.5, yeah.
The Meltzer's 4.5, 4 3/4.
Absolutely.
But me and you were texting back and forth, because I was like, I got 10 minutes before the movie starts. So we just sat down. You're like, how is this? And again, great for all 6 of those women. Great, phenomenal, must-see match with Tam, Soriano, Natsupoi versus Miyu, Starlight Kid, and Azumi. I couldn't be any more thrilled. Awesome. Like
Hmm.
finally, maybe the glass ceiling's finally starting to break a little and Big Dave can finally start rating these matches correctly. Again, just one man's opinion, mine. But anywho, so we were talking, it's like, how was this rated higher than Mayu versus Mayu versus Momo, Mayu versus Shuri from the beginning of last year? I mean, again,
Mayu versus the entire trilogy of Mayu versus Io, by the way.
yeah, Mayu versus Kyrie, some of the Kyrie
Hmm.
versus Io matches. I mean, pretty much majority of Maika's 5-star Grand Prix run. And again, it's subjective, but at the same time, it
Hazuki
kind of,
Saya Kamitani.
yeah, exactly. Hazuki and Mercedes Monet. But regardless, we're having fun with this segment. Again, the fact that Miyu Amasaki is a 5-star match and Kurt Angle does it, I don't know. Yeah, but it is, in all seriousness, congratulations to all 6 of those women. It's great shout for Stardom. It's a great shout for those 6 wrestlers. It's a great shout for the Artists of Stardom division. Because if you would have told me, hey, Dave Meltzer is going to rate a match 5 stars in the first quarter of the new year, you figured it'd be a big like singles match with Momo or Tam or Saya Kamitani or Mayu. But the fact that it's an artist match just goes to show you just the depth, talent of this Stardom roster. We say it all the time. So yeah, congratulations to them. I couldn't be any more happier. Truly, truly earned. And again, it's great publicity for Stardom. Now let's see some of these big matches we have coming up, and obviously these big shows coming up in the next few months. And we know they're going to knock them out of the park. You know, me and you are going to be rating most of these matches between 4.5 to 5 stars, just because of the talent pool that is Stardom. Let's see if Big Dave's going to be on board with us. Because I tell you what, maybe we'll bump into him in Vegas and we'll have a little chat. Maybe we'll pull him aside and have a little chat with him.
Rumor has it that he actually accidentally gave it 5 stars because he thought it contained Will Ospreay or Kyle Fletcher, but that's beside the point.
It did have a Zumi in there, who's Will Ospreay's favorite wrestler, so maybe that's what it is. Right. It bled over.
Absolutely. No, in all seriousness, a tremendous match, and I'm glad it got the recognition it deserved, because it really, really was a great match. Again, I didn't give it 5 stars. I think I gave it 4.5, and again, thoroughly deserved the development of Miyu Amasaki in particular, because it wasn't like she was carried in this match by any stretch of the imagination. It's not a case of, like, for example, EC3 has a 5-star match because he was in a ladder match. And some people will often say, oh, well, he just happened to be in the right place at the right time. I don't think that's the case with Miyu Amasaki at all. I feel like she played a pivotal part in this match and pulled her weight, as much as the other 5 women in the ring. So kudos to Miyu Amasaki. Kudos to all of the other 5 women in that match. From that to a little bit of negative news, it feels like on the Marigold Standard all we talk about is injuries. Unfortunately, the illness bug has caught up to Saki Kashima, who was scheduled to be on all 4 of these shows, 8th, 9th, 11th, and 12th. Unfortunately, due to illness, she was originally pulled from the show in Kobe on the 8th, and the main event was originally supposed to be an 8-woman. That was made a 3-on-4 handicap match. Since then, she has been taken off the road. She missed all 4 of the shows. She was taken out of the main event of the Yamaguchi show, the Mayu Iwatani Triumphal Return show, and she was replaced with Tam, which we'll be talking about later. Obviously, we wish nothing but the best for Saki Kashima, incredibly entertaining wrestler, and a really, in my opinion, a really pivotal part of God's Eye at the moment. So it's been noticeable to me, especially in the absence of Tomoka Inaba for those final 2 shows, the hole that Saki Kashima leaves when she leaves God's Eye, which is so bizarre when you think of God's Eye as this group of killers, and Saki Kashima is just, it's such a disparity between the 2 characters, but she fits in so well. Her chemistry with Shuri is fantastic. And then, yeah, like I say, unfortunately, there's no timetable for return. Fingers crossed that she is back for the upcoming shows tomorrow, as we record on the 14th, and the 16th as well. So fingers crossed Saki Kashima gets fit and healthy as soon as possible, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, you look at all those killers in there with Inaba, Rana, Kiro Katatsu, you have now, and obviously Shuri, deadly strikers. However, the deadliest move in all of God's Eye, and maybe in all of wrestling, is from Saki Kashima, the Kishi Kasai, my friend, because literally it could be, You don't have to knock somebody out. You don't have to do a fancy tombstone. You don't have to do a 450. It just takes 3 seconds. And we've seen a lot of people have fell victim to the Kishi Kasai. But in all seriousness, that we do wish her well. And obviously she come down with somewhat of the flu, it seems like. So hopefully in a week or two, some chicken noodle soup, Rob Goo, and maybe some tea with some honey and some resh. She'll be back rolling up the entire roster better than ever before.
Yeah, here's hoping. I've just had a look at the cards, which we'll be talking about at the end of the show for the 14th and the 16th. Unfortunately, she is not advertised for either of those cards either. So whatever she has really has taken it out of her. So, here's hoping that she is better soon and we hear better news in the near future. Moving on to Aya Sakura, she is going to be competing in Sendai Girls on February 16th. February 16th is actually a big day for a lot of Stardom wrestlers because Aya Sakura is in Sendai Girls and Syuri and Rani Yagami are both in Diana. So there is quite a few people missing with different commitments. Aya Sakura, coincidentally, will be taking on Yuna in singles action. It will be the first time that Aya has participated on a Sendai Girls show since the 20th of October 2024, where she was unsuccessful in the Jaja Uma tournament final against Chi-Chi, which of course spawned a really, really good mini feud that saw out the end of last year. Just a little bit of coincidence, the tournament that I've just spoken about, she beat Yuna in the semi-finals. So a chance for Yuna to get a little bit of revenge. Just run down the rest of that card. There's obviously Aya Sakura and Yuna, Zones and Dash Chisako, Hiroya Matsumoto and Riko Kawabata versus Aya Mizunami and Yura Chihiro Hashimoto and Minami versus Red Energy, Mika Iwata and Miyuki Takase. Bob Momo Banana, this will obviously have been changed because unfortunately Mia Momono has sustained an injury to her elbow and is out for 3 to 6 months. But at the time of writing, it was Bob Momo Banana, Mia Momono, and Eureka Oka versus Sari and Chi-Chi. I have just seen actually who they've replaced Mio Momono with, and unfortunately I haven't got it to hand. But either way, I'm sure it'll be a great match. And they seem to be doing something, Stardom, with Aya Sakura recently. We saw obviously the little bit of miscommunication between her and Sayaka Kurora. I've seen, I believe it was Peps on Twitter, speculate that perhaps she's the one that Saya Kamitani is going to team with at Path of Thunder. So, some interesting theories, some interesting directions with Aya Sakura, but this match with Yuna, I'm sure, is going to be really, really good, Matt.
Yeah, and the fact that Chi-Chi is on this show too, Rob. Again, you can't have too much of a good thing. We talked about with Soriano and Miko Wada. So who's not to say that Chi-Chi gets a win here, and then after Aya Sakura gets a win here over Yuna, and then she challenges Chi-Chi once again. I would not say no to that. But those Sendai Girls shows look really, really good. And actually, you just brought up something I was just thinking about talking with our good buddy Andy Header, is that our next episode of Talk Joshi, which we hope to record in the next week or so, we're going to be looking at a handful of matches from Sendai Girls over the last few shows, because there's been some phenomenal buzz with Mika Wada versus Takumi Iroha and a few other matches. So we're going to be looking at maybe 2 or 3 or 4 matches, and then we're going to be kind of just talking about the phenomenal feud, maybe the best story in all of American wrestling, in my opinion, with Toni Storm and Mariah May, because they have their big championship match coming up this weekend. So Talk Joshi, again, whether it's next week or the week after, all depending on our schedule, we're going to be talking about some of these matches in Sendai Girls, because their cards, especially, at the top, have really, really been some just phenomenal, interesting matches. And again, the fact that we get to watch them and talk about them, I mean, who's got it better than us, Rob Goodwin? Who's got it better than us?
Absolutely. It's Maria who's replaced Mia Momono in that tag match. So that's also going to be great. We might as well talk about a couple of matches that are out and about, because I can't wait to talk about this. I don't know if you've seen it, Matt, but Oz Academy ran their Angels of the Abyss show on the 9th of February in Shinjuku Face. 499 people in attendance, so a very healthy attendance for them. 2 tag team title matches on this card bookended. You opened with H2D, Ryu Mizunami and Sonoko Kato defeating Bob Momo Banana for the AAAW tag team titles. Absolutely phenomenal match. If you haven't seen it, I do encourage you to go out of your way to watch it, because the performance, especially from Momo in that closing stretch, absolutely phenomenal. And obviously we know now that she's out injured for 3 to 6 months with a UCL injury in her elbow, requires surgery. So, to do that match, and then she went to Sendai Girls to wrestle the tag title match against Red Energy on the same day, in excruciating pain, undoubtedly, just goes to show what an absolute battle-hardened legend she is. But in the main event, we had the Oz Academy tag team titles, FWC, Hazuki and Koguma, defeating Akino and Kohaku. Matt, did you happen to get a chance to see this match?
No, I know you did, and you were telling me how great it was, and you supplied me all the information I needed to watch said show. The only thing that you or nobody else can supply me with is a little bit more time, my friend. It's a little bit more time, but I will eventually get to it. Maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday night. I am off Monday for President's Day. It is President's Day weekend, as well as Valentine's Day. So a lot of love, lot of great stuff in the air. But I know you told me the opening tag match, and so the opening tag match and the main event. That's the two things I should watch. So I'm just bookend it. Okay. Yeah, I'll try to get to that maybe Saturday after I get out of the gym, but there might be a Stardom show I have to watch.
Yeah. So. I have to breathe at some point. Yes, no, I get that entirely.
But no, I'll fit it in. You had me at FWC. So it's like, yeah.
Exactly. And it's the first time that I've seen Akino in action. Kohaku was tremendous as well. And she melded that sort of power that we saw in the tag league with some really good high-speed stuff with Koguma in particular. There was no bear stuff at all. She tried the bear stuff right at the start, and Akino was having absolutely none of it. Akino, oh my God. I was texting a friend of the show, Scott, about this match while it was happening, and I was like, I want nothing more than a Hazuki and Akino match, because honestly, these two it was such a brutish war. It was great. It really, really was. 4.25 stars from me. That opening tag match, though, especially if you want even more to talk about on Talk Joshi, that opening tag was great as well.
Maybe I'll do it on Talk Joshi. No, Rob, real quick, but I know nothing about Akino, but if you're telling me if you want her in a Hazuki match, are you telling me she works the hard-hitting style? We're still right up my alley. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good
absolutely.
Sir. Okay, good sir. Yeah, I'll try to squeeze.
I think you'll like it.
Yeah, I'm easy to please too, especially it's Hazuki and Koguma, so you can put them in, with the broom, and I'll be good to go. But no, that sounds exciting. Again, maybe that's why we have the whole Talk Joshi forum, because it's something completely different. That's something that whether I do that with Andy or you or something, I can do solo. So a lot on the docket for Talk Joshi. So I'm super excited. But again, thanks for the info, my friend, and the high recommendation.
Moving on to Seedling, then they had their February show. Winter ends in Shinjuku on the 12th of February. 245 people in attendance from that show. Ruaka defeated Hinori Hana in the semi-main event, 6 minutes and 59 seconds. Some really good periods of aggression from Ruaka. Hinori Hana delivered some stiff headbutts, let's say. But yeah, really good match. Again, Ruaka continues to go strength to strength to strength. I think since her introduction to the 5-star Grand Prix, I'm never going to say that Natsuko Tora withdrawing herself from the 5-star Grand Prix only to drop the belt a month later was a good booking decision. I don't think it was, and I will stand by that. However, aside from the Saya Kamitani heel turn, which we now know with hindsight was a tremendous booking decision, what we did get out of it was Ruaka in the 5-star Grand Prix. And I think from there, she's gone from strength to strength to strength. She's really, really, really improved. And we talked about it a little bit in the tag league as well, how she was the one getting the pinfalls. She was the one who was doing a lot of the offense and stuff like that. And she's been trusted more and more and more in these higher profile matches. And again, semi-main event in Shinjuku Face, and had a really good performance for less than 7 minutes against Hinori Hana. It's a match that you can take your time to watch. It's not one that I'm it's not like the Oz Academy show. But again, you do need to, you can check it out if you've got time. The main event is fantastic if you do have time. Unagi Sayaka in that, and Veni as well, who we both love. So yeah, if you get a chance, Matt, that one as well. Sticking with the theme of Stardom wrestlers out and about, Lady C. It's about time we gave Lady C some love, and we're going to be giving her some love a little bit later whilst we talk about Osaka. And yeah, absolutely, hell yeah. But we mentioned that Kenta Kobashi's Fortune Dream shows, Fortune Dream 10 this year, is going to be happening on the 16th of April. We mentioned that Meiko Satomura and Sari had already been announced to be teaming on that show. Their opponents aren't yet announced. What has been announced, though, is a mixed tag team match with Unagi Sayaka and Masato Tanaka taking on the team of Shuji Ishikawa and Lady C. So I'm looking forward to that match, Matt. I know it's not the first time Lady C has been on this show. Has she been on Fortune Dream before? No, that was Himika. Himika has been on this show before.
I think it was Himika. It was Himika versus Lady C.
Yeah, because of course it was. It was the Jumbo versus Kabashi, wasn't it? That sort of style.
Exactly. You're exactly right, partner. Yeah, a couple years ago, because he saw the two of them at a Stardom show, and it reminded him of a young Kabashi versus a young Jumbo. So that's the reason why he picked that up. But I didn't know. I knew Unagi and Tanaka were teaming up. I just kind of read that. But the fact that we could see Lady C versus former ECW World Heavyweight Champion Masato Tanaka, throw down while Kenta Kobashi's doing commentary, folks. What a time to be alive. What are we complaining about in this world?
Absolutely. Speaking of good things, Marigold have announced their full card for the Korakuen Hall show on February 20th. And in spite of not having an Utami singles match at the top of the card, which we talked a little bit about when we recorded the Marigold Standard this week, pardon me, we have still got 2 title matches and a Marigold World Championship #1 contendership match. So we knew that we were getting Nanae Takahashi and Seri Yamaoka defending the Twin Star Championships against Utami and Victoria Yuzuki. That match is going to be great. Irrelevant of if 2 titles are tied up in that match is going to be really, really good. We've then got the Marigold Untitled, as I like to call it, Mai Sakurai versus Chan Yota. That is also going to be really good. Chan Yota, of course, put in a fantastic performance against Nanae Takahashi in the PPP Tokyo show on the 6th of February. The Marigold World Championship #1 contendership. This is really interesting. Bozilla versus Mirai. Now, whoever wins that, you know that Utami is going to have a fantastic match against them. And presumably that is going to be the next Korakuen after that. I am all for that. I am all for that. Elsewhere on the card, 3 more matches announced. Miku Ano, Chika Goto, and Natsumi Shozuki are going to be taking on the Dark Wolf Army team of Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki and Misa Matsui. So the plot thickens in terms of Dark Wolf Misa. We've then got Naoya Ishikawa versus Megaton, and Riara and Ria Sato. They're going to be teaming against Minami Yuki and Ryoko Sakimura. The show, of course, will air live on Wrestle Universe on February 20th. Matt, I know, again, one of the big sort of negatives about that was the fact that Utami challenging for the Twin Star belts means that we weren't getting a red belt match. However, I would still argue that even though this card is only 6 matches, those top 3 matches are loaded. I am really, really looking forward to this card.
Not only that, but that 6-person with Team Miko versus Team Dark Wolf Army. And then you're going to get a now Ishikawa is crazy over, especially in Korakuen Hall, and Megaton. And again, we mentioned this. We mentioned this yesterday when we recorded. Not my cup of tea, but she's over. She is over. So that's going to be a fun match. Kind of your comic match, and then you're going to start bumping things up. And I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with Misa Matsui is kind of now this new heel role. I definitely think she should get a win here and start building her up to either a red belt match or a white belt match. But you're absolutely right. Even though no Utami High is just a championship match on this card, you got a great match. That's probably going to be the main event, at least the way that it seems, with Nanae Takahashi and Seri Yamaoka versus Victoria Yuzuki and Utami. That's going to be terrific. And then you have Chan Yota versus Mai Sakurai for the untitle, as you call it, the pure white belt championship match. But yeah, Bozilla and Mirai is going to be not a scientific classic, and nor does it need to be. That is going to be right up our alley. 10, 11 minutes of just these two just trying to knock each other out. Lariats and headbutts, and that one's going to go all over the legendary Korakuen Hall. And then the win. My guess is you're absolutely right. Whoever wins that one after what I presume is going to be the main event, they're going to come out and challenge Utami probably at the next Cork, and that's probably the way to go. Because again, you're right there. It always makes sense that if you're building an angle, a month-to-month or week-to-week angle, you do it in the same venue, because then people know when they are leaving that venue what the next match is for the next show, and whether it's Mirai or Utami or Mirai and Bozilla. Either way, that's going to sell a bunch of tickets before people even leave the door on Korakuen Hall next week. So yeah, a solid card. Only 6 matches, but all 6 matches I'm looking forward to in its each own way. And again, you may mention those 3 top matches up top. I'm all for that, but I'm really interested to see what happens with heel Misa Matsui, because I think this is her coming off that phenomenal match of the year candidate with Victoria Azuki last week for the Super Flyweight Championship. And again, we mentioned it when we recorded this week at the Marigold Standard. Even in a loss, new look, she looked phenomenal. Her best performance. I think using this Korakuen to springboard her to get to either a white belt match or a red belt match, crimson red belt match, I think this would be the way to go. So every match on paper looks really, really good, and I know Marigold's going to deliver. So I'm really excited to watch that show with you, with all you fantastic folks next week.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think Misa Matsui is certainly on to something with this changing character, this fresh coat of paint, so to speak. I wouldn't necessarily hotshot her towards the belt just yet, having just lost the Superfly Championship match to Victoria Yuzuki, but I can certainly see her doing something, maybe even at that big the big Nanae Takahashi retirement show in May. Her versus Mai Sakurai for the white belt would be a very, very, very good match. That was all announced at a press conference today, but that was not the only bit of news that Marigold had. Nanae Takahashi, who we have just been talking about, announced that she is going to hold her own produce event called Passion, obviously, on April 14th, the day after my birthday. What a lovely surprise that's going to be. And the day before I go to Vegas. It's going to be at Shinjuku Face. The first person announced for that show, by the way, Momo Nakanishi, who, of course, we know as part of Nana Momo, and they will be teaming together once more on that show. And Nanae has said that she is going to be wrestling another match on top of that on this show. So, Matt, this is very exciting. I like this idea of Nanae doing this self-produced show ahead of her retirement the next month.
Yeah, especially teaming with one of her old tag partners in Momo Nakanishi. And we've seen her a couple of times on a few random Stardom shows over the last year or two. And we kept saying she needs to come back. She needs to come, maybe not on a full-time basis, but have her work with some of the talent as, this really almost pioneer of that high-speed, almost Stardom style, and then have her wrestling the Azumis, the Starlight Kids, the Mei Saras, and so on and so forth. So it's going to be interesting. Again, she's somebody that still has a lot left in the tank, and I'm really going to be interesting to see her on this card. My guess is her and Nanae are going to team, because she's wrestling twice. So my guess is her and Nanae are going to team up, whether it's 2-on-2 or 3-on-3. Against who, I don't know. I would love to see them maybe against Utami and then Yuzuki, or maybe Utami and Mirai. I mean, take your pick, really. Take your pick. Maybe you throw Nagi in there, maybe throw Sari in there. So who knows? But regardless, really, it's really cool that about a month before her retirement, she's going to be holding her own show, and that's a really, really cool, a really good way to kind of, as she's getting towards the tail end of her legendary career, that she has her own show coming. So that's going to be fantastic. Is there any streaming advice, Rob, or any, not advice, streaming? I need advice on streaming, Rob. Please help me. How do I click the link? Is there any streaming information or how would watch the show just yet?
Not as of yet, no. I assume that it will be a pay-per-view. I assume that we will get some more information closer to the date, because we are 2 months out as of the time this episode drops. So I imagine we'll get something and more talent announcements very, very shortly. And then final bit of, oh my God, pardon me, hiccups.
Shook the camera. It shook the camera,
did, yeah.
folks on YouTube. Whoever you're
Oh.
watching.
Sendai Girls, again, they've announced the top 4 matches for the top of Joshi Wrestling at Yoyagi on March 19th. We knew that we were getting Meiko Satomura versus Chihiro Hashimoto for the Sendai Girls Championship because, of course, we are, because Sendai Girls continue to bring up fantastic matches. But also for the tag team titles, we saw Red Energy dethrone Bob Momo Banana in the main event of their Sunday show. Following that, Cup High Mate made the challenge. Maika and Hanako, they will be the next challengers, or the first challengers, to Red Energy's titles, and that, of course, is going down March 19th at the top of Joshi Wrestling. Also on that card, you've got Risa Sera versus Dash Chisako in a hardcore match, and you have got Jaguar Yokota against Shin Sakura Hirota, who's just returned from injury. So a good top 4 matches. I'm very excited to see Red Energy versus Cup High Mate, and a little bit selfishly, I'm really hoping this leads to a singles match, Mika Iwata versus Maika.
Or Mika Wada versus anybody in the Stardom roster, including another match with Soriano. I wouldn't say no. Obviously, we got that match with Mika Wada is just fantastic. We did think we were going to get her in the 5-star Grand Prix. We were hoping, but we didn't. Regardless, great tournament. Yeah, I mean, this is again, Sendai Girls is absolutely crushing it, and the fact that Stardom talent going over there, Sendai Girls talent coming over into Stardom. You got some really, really top-heavy matches there, obviously, with Chihiro Hashimoto versus Meiko Satomura. And again, for someone who loves tag wrestling, I'm a big, big fan of Red Energy. I would love to see them have a handful of matches in Stardom proper. You know, imagine them with FWC, Wingori, Meltier, Sorori Poi, Yunin, Aya. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. You know, they'd have great matches with anybody. And the fact that we were getting one of the top tag teams in Stardom, you know, the semifinal, or the team that made it to the finals of the Goddess of Stardom Tag League, and Maika and Hanako as a Cup High Mate taking on this phenomenal team of Red Energy. But yeah, you're right. Last time we did see an outsider team wrestle Maika and Hanako. We did get the challenge with Chihiro Hashimoto and Maika from when they did Team 200K versus Maika and Hanako. So maybe we do 2 in a row, partner. Maybe this does lead to a Mika Wada versus Maika match. But I'm all for it regardless. This is going to be another fantastic card. And again, something we'll discuss here a little bit over on the Stardom Cast. But again, we have that forum of Talk Joshi. So we have a lot really that we can talk about over on that forum. But excited to watch it because again, Sendai Girls is slowly become 3 favorite feds to watch because they're doing fantastic work over there.
They really are. They really are. It's been an incredible 12 months for Sendai Girls in terms of just booking blockbuster shows and blockbuster events, and having that crossover with Stardom has really been something entertaining to watch as well. Now, moving on to all of our show reviews, all that news, by the way, that you can find over at talkjoshi.com. We're going to be moving on to the first of our shows, and that is, of course, going to be New Blood 18 from the 5th of February. It seems like ages ago since this show actually happened, because it happened obviously just after we recorded. We recorded on the Tuesday last week, but we will go into this show now. It aired on Wednesday, the 5th of February, 2025, free on YouTube. The attendance, by the way, this emanated from the Tokyo Square in Itabashi, which is a brand new venue. It's a specialist wrestling venue that only opened at the start of February. New Blood 18 was just the 4th show to run from there. The venue itself supposedly has a capacity of around 250 people. The New Blood 18 attendance of 201 was the highest in the venue's incredibly short history. That being said, 201 people is still the lowest for any New Blood show to date. It's a 6.5% decrease on the previous lowest, which was the 215 drawn to the Tokyo New Pier Hall on December 26th for New Blood 17. And again, Matt, we did talk about this when the card was announced. I think that's I think that's two things. One, no title matches on this card, no Future of Stardom Championship match for Miyu Yamasaki, and you had the New Blood Tag Team Champions wrestling in the opener, yet we didn't have a title match. And no disrespect to anyone on this roster, but no big caliber stars. Often you will find with the New Blood show that you will have one or two big names, whether that's a Starlight Kid, whether that is a Mei, whether that's a Tam. We've seen all of them appear on New Blood shows, but this one seemed to be molded solely around the New Blood brand. The results then, I will read through these, obviously, before I throw over to Matt. Tag team match, non-title. Rice or Bread, Hanako and Waka Tsukiyama defeated the rookies Akira Kuragani and Uriah Hime, with Hanako submitting Uriah Hime with the Scorpion Deathlock in 8 minutes and 36 seconds. In a singles match, Kaori Yoneyama, for the first time in years, wrestling in a Stardom ring, she defeated Rian with the Garuncho in 7 minutes and 32 seconds. 6-woman tag match, the God's Eye team of Tomoka Inaba, Hina, Kyoka Katatsu. They defeated Kohaku, Hanako, and Saran. Hina pinning Hanako with the modified jackhammer in 10 minutes and 31 seconds. Semi-main event, Devil Princess, Rina, and Azusa Inaba defeated Yuma Makoto and Mizuki Kato. Rina defeating Yuma Makoto with the Pink Devil in 16 minutes and 35 seconds, which I think we can both agree was the match of the show. And then in your main event, Ron Yagami, Nanami, and Makoto defeated the Cosmic Angels team of Yuna Mizumori, Aya Sakura, and Sayaka Kurora with a Northern Lights suplex in 19 minutes and 7 seconds. Rather a surprise that Nanami picked up the win here over Aya Sakura, but there we are. Matt, we are sort of just going to talk about this show as a whole, as opposed to going through match by match like we're going to do with the others. But we talked a little bit about the smaller attendance. Obviously, it is a smaller venue. But what did you think about the show itself?
The work was great. You made mention before about there's no massive stars on this show. That's why probably the smaller attendance. Two, you're running on a Wednesday. That could be a little tricky to draw. But tell you what, this show, as far as quality goes, was great. And just to kind of give everybody a little peek behind the curtain of the ridiculousness that is our text messages, is that I sent you a text and I said, Kamitani and Suzu, that was the match of the year for about a week. And you're like, what are you talking about? Okay, you got to watch Kaori versus Rihanna. It was a loaded, fun match. Obviously, it wasn't match of the year, but it was, a lot of these matches were really fun to watch, especially as you made mention before, my friend, with Devil Princess versus Yuna and Kaito. That was the match of the show. That was fantastic. And again, just for the sake of time, I'm just going to run through what my star ratings results were, because again, we have after this 4 other shows to go through. So match number 1 with Rice or Bread versus the Rookies, I had 3.25 stars. The match of the year with Kaori Yoneyama versus Rian, I had a 3.25, but I bumped it up to 3.5 because the crowd was really into it. The tag match with God's Eye versus Kohgo, Saran, and Hanako, I gave that one actually 4 stars. I thought that was great. And Saran, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who I've never seen before, or I've seen a little bit of. I thought she was terrific and highlighted real well here. Match number 4, the co-main event. Yeah, absolutely right. Devil Princess. They were fantastic here. I had it at 4.25 stars. And the main event, yeah, I was shocked. I thought as your main event, considering the fact that these Cosmic Angels trio just main evented Cork and Hall about a month or so ago. Really weird seeing them eat the L here, but regardless, a really solid match that got over 19 minutes, 4 stars for me. So again, even though it wasn't a massive attendance, the crowd was really into everything. Really great, short and condensed show. And again, the quality of wrestling was top notch here, especially those last 3 matches.
Yeah, I agree. Again, there was a couple of story notes to come out of this show. Rian, following her match with Kaori Yoneyama, actually asked to team with her at future events as she sets her eyes on the New Blood tag team titles. I'm not entirely sure that Kaori Yoneyama qualifies for the New Blood tag team titles, but then again, we did have a challenge from someone who is 50 years old later on. So there you are, though she has got considerably less experience than Kaori Yoneyama. Hina also stated after pinning Hanukkah for the win during their match that she wanted the winner of Miyu Amasaki and Hanako in their Future of Stardom championship match that was happening on the 12th of February in Osaka, seemingly to happen at Path of Thunder in Utsun and Mayu, and that has since been made official, but we'll talk about that in a moment. And then obviously in that main event, following their victory together, Nanami and Himiko challenged Rice or Bread for the New Blood Tag Team Championships, and this has been officially confirmed for New Blood 19 in Belsal Shibuya. It is scheduled to take place on March 1st. So there will be a title match on the March 1st show. I'd be surprised if there is a Future of Stardom title defense, because that has already been confirmed for Path of Thunder on the 24th of February. I don't think they're going to do that quick a turnover for title matches. However, it's nice to see that we have got a title match for that show, and it wouldn't surprise me if Rian and Kaori Oniyama team at New Blood 19 and they then challenge the winners of that tag title match, Matt.
Well, you mean you talked about this Kaori Oniyama. Does she qualify for New Blood? Yeah, because she's only been in Stardom a handful of matches. I'm obviously Fukin Death and Goken Death and Billiken Death and Death Yamasan. She's been in there a little bit. This is a completely different wrestler, my friend. Completely different wrestler. So, but no, it's going to be great for Rian teaming with a legend like Kaori Oniyama and going to learn. It's one thing to learn backstage, after a match, before a match, in the ring during training. But when you're actually teaming with said person, you're doing live rounds with said person. So she's only going to get better. We've seen Rian's progression in the last 2 or 3 months really, really go through the roof, and she's only going to continue to get better. So I like that. I like that teaming. I like the fact that we're doing more and more of these New Blood shows. I remember about almost a year ago, we were doing like maybe one New Blood show every 2-3 months. And now it seems like it's happening every 3 or 4 weeks. And it's free on YouTube. And it's a really great way to get newer wrestlers out there in front of more people, because you have the free form of YouTube and the fact that we're doing storylines from one show to the other. And we don't have to wait, 2, 3, 4 months. It seems like, okay, here it is. Here's the next date. Tickets are on sale. So I like that. Again, it wouldn't hurt to put a Starlight Kid on a show from time to time, and Azumi, a Momo Watanabe, just to kind of help with the ticket sales. But at the same time, they're not running New Blood in Cork, and they're running venues that are going to be like 300-400. So again, I would like to see them put maybe one of the bigger main eventers on the show, just to help the draw the card out and fill up the arena. But regardless, these last few New Blood shows, as far as quality goes, especially this one, I thought have been really, really good, and I'm really enjoying them.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't complain about it at all. The matches were good. There was some really good storyline progression. And again, Kaori Oniyama, what a star in the making. We move on then to 3 days later, when Stardom found themselves in Kobe, the Kobe Arts Center in Hyogo, to be more specific, on the 8th of February, Saturday, the 8th of February. All 4 of these upcoming shows were all live on Stardom World. This show, as I mentioned, Kobe Arts Center in Hyogo, 405 people in attendance. Now, this is a 19.2% decrease from the only time that Stardom have run this venue previously, on night 6 of the 5-Star Grand Prix. Again, you were looking at this, which is effectively a touring house show. You're comparing this to a show that was main evented by Mayu Iwatani and Azumi in the 5-Star Grand Prix. They're not really comparable shows, but again, that drew 501 back in August 2024. This show drew 405. The results then, we opened with an 8-woman tag match. Cosmic Angels, Tam, Nakano, Natsupoi, Shiori Ano, and Yuna Mizumori defeated the Stars team of Mayu Iwatani, Momo Kohgo, Hazuki, and Koguma, with Yuna Mizumori rolling Momo Kohgo up with the Tropicana in 14 minutes and 3 seconds. Tag match next, Neo Genesis team of Starlight Kid and Mei Sarah. They defeated the rookies Akira Kuragani and Uriah Hime, with Mei Sarah submitting Akira Kuragani with the Meteor Dragon in 9 minutes and 56 seconds. Tag team match next, the Hate team of Azusa Inaba and Ruaka. They defeated the team of Rani Yagami and Sayaka Kurora. Azusa Inaba pinning Yagami with a move called the Baba Killer 2 in 9 minutes and 5 seconds. 6-woman tag, Maika, Rian, and Hanako of EXV. They defeated the Neo Genesis team of Azumi Suzuki and Miyu Amasaki. Hanako getting a big win over Miyu Amasaki in that preview tag match, pinning her with the JP Coaster in 10 minutes and 18 seconds. Singles match, Hanan defeated the hometown hero Aya Sakura with a blockbuster hold in 12 minutes and 24 seconds, which was easily match of this show. A fantastic showcase for Aya Sakura. And then in your main event, a 4-on-3 handicap match, the Hate team of Saya Kamitani, Konami, Natsuko Tora, and Momo Watanabe, they defeated the depleted God's Eye team of course, Saki Kashima was supposed to be in this main event, but as we mentioned earlier, she will not be in any of these shows due to illness. Shiori, Tomoka Inaba, and Lady C, Konami submitting Shiori, sort of, via referee stoppage with that rear naked choke in 11 minutes and 52 seconds. Matt, what did you think of this show as a whole before we delve into the matches one by one?
Really great show. And I know me and you were talking off air about how these string of shows, and I pretty much every one we're going to talk about, start out with a hot opener. You need to start your shows out with a hot opener. And every single show had really great crowd participation. A lot of it has to do with a hot opener. And again, I like how, and we'll get into it. Obviously, we see if you're watching on YouTube, you see that graphic. The fact that this was the opener, it could have been the main event. But the one thing I liked about this, and again, we'll get into it, is the fact you're taking Aya Sakura, somebody that they definitely have some stock in, somebody that is really rising through the ranks really fast in this loaded Stardom roster, and you're putting her in the ring with a wrestler that is a main eventer and a champion in Stardom in Hanan. I like that. I think every one of these quote-unquote Stardom World shows need to have those 1 or 2 single matches where you're taking like your upper mid-carder or main eventer up against one of maybe your lower mid-card wrestlers in singles matches just to see how they're going to do. And I thought Aya passed with flying colors, and we'll get into it in a moment. But this was, all these shows we're going to talk about were just so good. They were so good. And the fact that these were just Stardom World shows, you're getting them for like $6. The quality of wrestling is just on another level. And we've been making mention of this the last year or two. Like when you get to these 6 persons, 8 persons, 10-person tags, and any other wrestling company, no disrespect to WWE or AEW or New Japan, when you have these multi-person matches, you're going to have like a good outing. Like they're going to go in, they're going to play the hits, they're going to do what they need to do. They're going to, get the crowd out, make them feel all warm and fuzzy. But nobody's doing this like Stardom. They're going out like as if they're trying to get to that 4.5 to 5-star match. They're going out there and make sure they're going to tell a really good story and make sure the crowd is entertained by what's going on with wrestling. And that's what every single one of these Stardom shows that we're going to talk about, and even the ones, like I said, a year or two ago, that's what they do. These multi-person matches of Stardom, nobody takes a day off, and they do a really good job highlighting certain matches, maybe potential future matchups going forward. But again, this was just another fantastic show, and the crowd was into everything. I think a lot of it has to do, we got to give a lot of credit to the fact that this match we're about to talk about was the opener, and the crowd really never came down.
Yeah, it is the epitome of a hot opener. We saw Hazuki and Natsupoi rekindle that fire that saw them have that really good Wonder of Stardom title match back at Namba Grand Fight in September of 2024. We saw a little tiny smidgen of Mayu and Tam Sayoriano doing what she does best. But I thought, again, the standout performers, Yuna Mizumori, I thought was tremendous. And same as Momo Kohgo. Momo Kohgo continues to impress, even though she continues to be the one eating the pins. We've seen that regularly on this run of 4 shows. She still stands out for her fire, determination, and fighting spirit, and that is why she's so popular with the crowd. That's why we got those ridiculous chants for her in Corrigan Hall a few months ago. It's because her endeavor, her development, and that never say die attitude is always really, really prevalent whenever she wrestles. A really, really, really good opener, Matt.
Yeah, not only that, it seems like every week we keep saying in these multi-person matches, Suriano versus X, that's a match I want to see. Suriano and Koguma starting this match out, you had your comedy with the Kuma dance, but once they get into it, like trading the arm drags and the wrist locks going back and forth, and then Stars is going to come and do their phenomenal teamwork. That's what happens here. Eventually, though, it does quickly turn. Natsupoi and Tam come in, little melt tier save. Eventually, though, it turns into who can hit poor Natsupoi harder, Hazuki or Mayu Iwatani, and because the boot scrapes, the super kicks, and the fact the crowd was all into it. Again, Hazuki does such a great job when she's getting ready to do the boot scrapes. She looks at the crowd and she really does the hey, 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 and they all get up for it. And then boom, boots poor Natsupoi's face almost in the front row. And then Mayu's like, oh, that looks like fun. Let me try to kick her as hard as humanly possible. Eventually, though, Tam comes in for the save. Soriano comes in. She runs hot. Really great stuff with Mayu and Tam. Obviously, we know there's going to be a big match somewhere down the road between the two of them. So we get just a little bit of sample here. Obviously, Tam has never defeated Mayu, so we'll see where that goes. Maybe All-Star Grand Queendom, again, another story for another day. But eventually, really, it's just your main eventers almost taking each other out. Basically, FWC and Mayu and Soriano, Tam Nakano, and Natsupoi almost taking each other out on the outside for Momo, Kohgo, and Unit to have this little mini singles match, which is great because, again, you got the whole match is built around getting the crowd hot. It's the first match they're seeing. Everybody's full of energy. They're excited. Really great stuff. And then you just basically have your two kind of underneath wrestlers in these two great factions have a really, really great mini singles match with Unit getting the win with the roll-up, a.k.a. the Tropicana. Phenomenal stuff. You made mention before Momo Kohgo. She was terrific here. The next show, I believe it's the next show we're going to talk about. She was phenomenal, just terrific. And I'm just always super impressed with Momo Kohgo. Really good. Hot opener, 4 stars for me, partner. Excellent, excellent stuff, and a great way to set the table for this terrific show.
Yeah, it's the Momo Kohgo and Hanan versus Mei Sarah and Miyu Amasaki, right?
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, it was on the day of the Super Bowl because I came home and was like, no, I'm going to watch Stardom instead of the Super Bowl. That's what I did,
you made the right decision.
God damn right I did, good sir.
And this match is free on YouTube, so absolutely go and check this out. We move on then to Neo Genesis versus the Rookies. Mei Sarah breaking out the Meteor Dragon, which I'd love to see her finish more matches off with because it looks, especially once she flips it over, looks really, really, really brutish. But Matt, obviously, Akira Kuragani, Uriah Hime, not that experienced in ring. How do you think they did against possibly two of the most over wrestlers in the company at the moment?
They were good. They came out with a lot of fire. They jumped the two champions here. The high speed champion and obviously the white belt champion. So it's like, we don't have any respect for you. Get out of here. But I like the fire there. I like it's like we're going to earn our respect on these two fantastic wrestlers. But you're absolutely right. Going back with the Meteor Dragon from Mei Sarah, we do see in Stardom one of the many things we love about this company. It's a lot of these main event wrestlers. They have the roll up finish, they have the nuclear, like their big finish, like the big head drop finish or big suplex finish, and then the submission finish. Obviously, Mei Sarah, she has that rolling shooting star, which is a thing of beauty. She has the that hammerlock powerbomb that she calls goodbye piece as kind of her big bump finish, and she does have the Meteor Dragon that she doesn't break out as much as she should. And I would love, you're absolutely right, partner, I would love to see her win more matches. But yeah, I think the two rookies here were terrific. May and Starlight Kid did a great job giving them enough to look credible. Again, you're in the same company, you're going to want to keep building up your younger talent because who knows, maybe in a year or two there's going to be a big singles program with Akira versus Starlight Kid, or there's going to be a big 5-star match in the next 5-star in 2027 with Mei Sarah versus Yuri Hime. I mean, who knows? And it's they do a really good job giving them enough to look credible. Ultimately, though, it's just the experience and the speed advantage from Neo Genesis, the coolest faction in all of wrestling, to put away the rookies. But I thought they looked great here, and it's only going to be more up and up for these two young, fantastic competitors. Rob Goodwin, I had this one at 3 3/4 stars. Really enjoyed it.
Now, I'm not one to judge a book by its cover. Those of you who are watching this on YouTube, obviously, so you can see the match graphics. But in terms of these rookies, if you were to look at them and say what faction you think they're going to be in, they couldn't scream more God's Eye and Cosmic Angels if they tried. Just in terms of gear, I don't feel that you could sort of pinpoint them to two better factions. Again, we will see where they go. I thought both of them gave really good performances. I'm particularly impressed early on with Akira Kuragani. I think she's got the facials down. She's got the tempo down as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do. In particular, we move on to Hate versus the odd job team, if you will, of Rani Yagami and Sayaka Kurora against Azusa Inaba and Ruaka. Matt, ultimately, despite a lot of endeavor from Rani Yagami and Sayaka Kurora, it pays to know your teammate. And ultimately, Ruaka and Azusa Inaba made that count.
Yeah, Sayaka Kurora was really over here as far as with the crowd. I mean, they're doing a great job getting her over, as far as baby face reactions, pretty much in every building. But you're absolutely right. What this really comes down to is just the teamwork of the Hate duo of Azusa Inaba and Ruaka. For me, the best part of this match, to the shock of nobody that knows me, was the violent exchanges with Rani Yagami versus Azusa Inaba. Again, you want to talk about the new blood concept, Rob, and you want to talk about matches you'd want to see. Giving me a singles match on a new blood show with Azusa versus Rana. That would be absolutely fantastic because, give them 12, 13 minutes to tell their story. Really good stuff here. Again, it was really weird when the graphic came up and it was just like, maybe they just didn't have a place to put Rana and a place to put Sayaka. So it's just like, team them up. It'll be fun. They're young. And obviously this is just going to get a win over for Hate. Solid enough match. I had this one at 3.5 stars. But again, the main point for me is I would love to see Rana versus Azusa in a singles match. Again, put on a new blood show where it doesn't get lost in the shuffle of the loaded roster that is like Soriano, Tam, Momo Watanabe, so on and so forth.
I believe Sayaka Kurora and Ron Yagami actually debuted on the same show, so at least there's a connection in that regard. Moving on then to match 4, we saw the EXV team of Maika, Rian, and Hanako defeat Neo Genesis. Hanako getting that momentum-building win over Miyu Amasaki with the JP coaster, but not before she absolutely ragdolled her with the Shirasagi. She really does lock that in and just throw people around with reckless abandon, doesn't she? With that submission finisher, it is built as a killer, and I think that's great. Maika and Suzu Suzuki, though, man. Maika and Suzu Suzuki. It's still even now a money match, and it's something that they can heat up. They being Stardom, can heat up whenever, and people are going to want to see. I feel like Suzu Suzuki's stock is the highest it's been in quite a while, to be perfectly honest. Probably since she returned from injury. And, coming off the back of that Saya Kamitani match, yes, she was unsuccessful, but it was a great match. She's really, really, really finding her groove. And again, these exchanges with Maika, reminiscent of that Dream Queendom match, reminiscent of that 5-star final match back in 2023. We got a little taste of that. And again, I've had a taste. I want it again.
Rob, good point on this is the hottest Suzu's been in a while. You can make an easy argument. This is the hottest Suzu's ever been because she's coming off, in my opinion, the match of the year, coming off her best performance. And this is the hottest Stardom's ever been. Again, they sold out Cork and Hall. They literally had to put more tickets for their show for Path of Thunder. Again, and we'll get into it when we're talking about the next couple of shows. I'm looking at what the ticket sales are doing for these next handful of shows, and Corkin's just about sold out with no matches announced. Almost half the building is sold out for night 1 of the Cinderella tournament. That's not for another month away. So you can, again, she's the hot commodity. Everybody's talking about it. She's in the cool new faction. She is, and she's somebody in that faction that stands out completely different because she's the hammer. She's the killer. As we said in the last 2 Stardom Cast, she's the mother, or she's the oldest sister of these hyper energetic teenagers that just want to listen to the new Britney Spears album on CD. Like, that's how old I am. But this match, again, I think Suzu's just the hottest she's ever been. And again, when we mentioned last week, she's the only one without a belt. but she's the one that's got the most eyes on her because of her performances, and she knows how to lose. And Saya Kamitani knows how to put somebody over when she's getting a win. But this match, at least for the beginning for me, buddy, when I watched this match, was like, this match was a rib on Rian. At least in the beginning, because it starts off with her and Azumi going high speed, and she hung with the greatest high speed wrestler of all. So it's like, ooh, that's something.
It's also not the first time.
Again, that's something, because obviously that's a tough division to kind of fill out, because especially with those new rule sets. So I wouldn't mind seeing Rian versus Mei Sarah somewhere down the line for the high speed championship. But I know we do have some contenders in line, which we'll get into. But like, it starts with that, and she hangs, and then we get O2 line teamwork, and they just obliterate her. And then Suzu gives her the drive-by. So it's just like, man, we're ripping on poor Rihanna here in the beginning. But God bless her. I thought she was terrific. You made mention, again, Suzu and Maika, and absolutely, buddy, I echo your sentiments. But this Azumi versus Maika chemistry, we've seen them in the 5-star, I think in 2022, and I believe in 2023. I think they were in the same block. I know in 2022, they had a really low-key banger, considering the fact that two of them are completely different styles, with the Azumi working the high-speed style, Maika more of the hard-hitting style. I thought they were great. Obviously, Maika and Hanako, they work terrific as a team together. Again, we made mention just a little bit ago, made it to the finals of last year's Goddess tournament. But you're absolutely right. When it came down to Maika and Suzu, as soon as they squared off, you would get immediate flashbacks to their two great matches in 2023. You know, the finals of the 5-star Grand Prix, and then the main event of Dream Queendom. And again, there is a lot more there. There is a lot more there. And considering the fact these two are very young in their career, and Maika just coming off the best year she's ever had, and her stock is way up. And we just talked about, Suzu. We're expecting big, big things for her this year, and next year. Really excellent stuff. I had this one at, where am I at here? 3 3/4 stars, my friend. 3 3/4 stars. Solid match.
We move on to what I have said was match of the show, and I stand by that. Hanan versus Aya Sakura. We talk a lot about how you lose, and I think Aya Sakura lost in possibly the best way she possibly could. That closing stretch was phenomenal. The way she consistently transitioned into that triangle choke, that modified triangle, which she persists on making look absolutely devastating. I think she pushed Hanan to her limit, kicking out of the Hanan special, kicking out of the 17. Obviously had a couple of very, very, very close roll-ups of her own. Again, a really, really, really good outing for Aya Sakura. Yes, she's wrestled in her hometown 3 times. Yes, she's lost 3 times. But each time there has been significant development. And she said on the microphone afterwards that she wants to be more successful by the time they come back again. I have a feeling that she probably will be. But this was absolutely fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed this match. And again, spoilers for the last match, but this was by far my match of the show.
I agree. I had this at 4 1/4 stars. I thought this was terrific. And I like how, as of late, we've been seeing they've been tapping Hanan on the shoulder to have these singles matches with the younger wrestlers. And that's obviously Hanan's been wrestling a long time, but the fact that she's 20, 21, something like that, but yet it's just like, okay, go and have this person's first match, or go and take this rookie or someone's a little over a year and go give them 10, 12, 13 minutes and make it look competitive. Again, that just shows you what a great wrestler Hanan is. It's one thing for her to have a great singles match with Soriano, right? Because we know Hanan's really good. Obviously, Soriano is going to kick her up in that great match they had at last year's All-Star Grand Queendom. But it's another thing when she's taking younger wrestlers that do have a lot of steam out behind them. And again, it's Aya Sakura's hometown, and Hanan did make sure that she gave a majority of this match. Even though Hanan did get the win with the Hanan special, this was like a 60-65% match for Aya Sakura, and a great job for Hanan to put the spotlight on Aya, because we're bringing her up. We obviously have plans for her, in the next handful of months, because she's doing terrific. And I like how Aya Sakura, she's using that head kick to go in the triangle choke. I love watching like a big MMA fight, and somebody will drop somebody with a shot, whether it's whether it's a liver shot or a head shot or something, and they go down, instead of like grounding and pounding, they go and take a submission. Why Frank Mir is one of my all-time favorite fighters. Is you would see him drop somebody with something, and they would cover up to the head, to the point where it's like, well, they're covering up because they're expecting me to go to a headshot. Let me go into submission, because then it showcases my striking ability and my submission ability. And Aya Sakura is doing that just as good as anybody in this company, which is saying a lot, because you have Shuri in this company. But I thought this match was terrific. I totally agree. This was one of my favorite matches of all these shows we're going to review, but definitely my favorite match from this show 4.25 stars for me, my friend.
We move on to the 4-on-3 handicap match. And this was very much a statement of intent from Hate. Not only did they win relatively emphatically, this main event didn't even go 12 minutes, but also it was with a referee stoppage on Shiori. And I know that we sort of said, didn't we, last year, that this was getting to a point where God's Eye, it was almost getting beyond a joke. They were just getting buffeted and battered at every single turn with no real comeuppance. However, Konami's injury, obviously, we hope she is much better now. She seems better. Having that time away has allowed the feud to sort of allow people to forget, and therefore this feud can be reignited. Whether it is with a litany of weapon shots, which this was, even so, having a past World of Stardom champion basically put to sleep is still a very powerful visual for Konami.
What's funny about this match, Rob? It's a handicap match, right? You have Kamitani. In 6 months, we might be saying, okay, she's the wrestler of the year, based on what they have laid out for her and based on what we're seeing this red belt championship run's going to be, right? So you have Kamitani there, Momo Watanabe, badass, Konami, badass, Tora, badass. Me and you were sitting in a bar, and the fight erupts between 4 versus 3. Who are you putting your money on in this one? A legit fight.
Ooh. I'm still gonna go Momo and Konami simply because I mean Momo's holding the baseball bat in the graphic, man. Come on.
Yeah, but the other ones have Sherry, Lady C, and Tomoka Inaba. So
that's true, yeah.
So I was kind of chuckling when I was watching this, and Amber's like, "What are you laughing at?" It's a handicap match. But in a shoot, it's really a handicap for Hate because they have Sherry, Tomoka Inaba, and Lady C really coming onto her own. And again, we'll talk about the final show where she just that big boot that she used to oh my goodness,
absolutely flattens. I want that to be a finish, like
100%, dude, bro, 100%.
Oklahoma Stampede. I like that move. Don't get me wrong, but I just want to see her. It was like a Mr. Brody Lee, where he would just stretch forward and absolutely plow through people with the big boot. And it's one of those, I was like, that is such a cool move. And Lady C absolutely clambered into it. Brilliant. I only ever want to see her finish matches with that move in future. But please, Matt, continue.
Yeah, we'll get into that, but that was something. And again, I'm glad they're finally doing something with Lady C because it's like they have had the last 3 or 4 months. The booking's been so good. Like they have something to do for everybody except this Lady C's having great matches, but they're not doing anything with her. Now they are. We'll get into that when we review show number 9 or whatever of these
230 on the docket. Yeah,
this was all about. Again, you have your main hitters in Hate here. In my opinion, these are like your 4 big main eventers, and obviously Tomoka, Sherry, they're fantastic, and Lady C, they're finally doing something with putting some steam behind her, and she's terrific. But like this match was just all about Konami and Sherry because again, we didn't get the blow off we wanted to at Dream Queendom, and again, we still don't know what happened. I watched it again just the other day because it was on YouTube, and I'm like, I still don't think this was an audible with everybody coming in. And again, we talked about that a month or so ago. But regardless, you're building up Sherry and Konami. You got to get Konami a win here. You got to keep Sherry strong. Obviously, Inaba was great. Lady C was great. Hate uses the numbers game, not only 4-on-3, but with the other 84 members on the outside. And then they have to bend the rules and break the rules. So these God's Eye members don't lose anything because, again, they're outnumbered and they're getting cheated. So, and then ultimately it's a baseball bat shot. It's a pole shot. It's the Psy Queen, German suplex, dropkick combination. And then it's Konami choking out Sherry to the point where the ref has to call the bell, right? Because it's like Sherry can't defend herself anymore. She's out. She's not tapping out. So I like that. We kept God's Eye strong in a loss. We do get the Hate team. Usually you want to have your baby faces win your main event, but at the same time, it's Momo Watanabe really 100% heel? No. Saya Kamitani really 100% heel? Not really. So you're still kind of sending the crowd home happy. And again, we got more stuff with Saya Kamitani and Sherry in this match, just a little bit. And that's a match I would love to see. I would love to see as Saya Kamitani starting to get some of, V5, V6, V7, V8. Sherry's finally done with this Hate feud. where it's like only other place to go is to challenge Saya Kamitani. That's a match I really want to see. Really good match. The main thing crux is we're building back up Shuri and Konami for maybe their one final match, at least for a while, and then let them cool off. But 3 3/4 stars, a solid match to end what I thought was a phenomenal show, partner.
I mean, I agree with you, but that brief exchange between Tomoka Inaba and Momo Watanabe, where they would just shoot kicking each other in the chest as hard as they could. And, Tomoka Inaba is a very hard striker, as we know, but you could hear the air leaving her lungs with every single Momo Watanabe kick. And, we've asked dozens of wrestlers who the hardest hitter in Stardom is. And if they don't say Shuri, it's Momo Watanabe. And when we interviewed Utami, they said Momo Watanabe's kicks literally, they were heavy, dull thud kicks, and you heard that with Tomoka Inaba.
Rob Goodwin, really quick, buddy. I apologize. I don't like to look at my phone, but I just did, and this is late breaking news on WrestleCon, which we'll be going to. The Great Muta is announced for WrestleCon.
Amazing.
Maybe we'll get him to come out of retirement and work us.
Can't imagine he'll need too much of a Matt, to be perfectly honest. His retirement road was 840 miles long. So, yeah, that'll be great. I'll definitely going to check out the Great Muta, definitely. But that being said, we move from Kobe to Yamaguchi for Mayu Iwatani's triumphal return show, 9th of February. And again, initially, this was supposed to be sort of a really weird tag match in the best possible sense of the word, because initially we were supposed to have Mayu Iwatani and Saki Kashima team against Momo Oz, or Momo AZ, depending on how you say it. And there's obviously considerable amounts of distrust or mistrust. And obviously, the whole thing was, how are these teams going to coexist? Unfortunately, Saki Kashima fell ill, was replaced with Tam Nakano, who wrestled twice on this show. And of course, there are their own issues between Mayu Iwatani and Tam Nakano. So that brought its own little nuggets during that match. And we are going to be talking about that because that match was, again, what the highlight of this show for a whole host of reasons. The announced attendance inside KDDI Ishin Hall in Yamaguchi was 557. It's the second highest attendance Stardom have drawn to the venue in the 4 times that they have run it. It's a 20.8% increase on the 461 the last time they ran the venue. Stardom's current highest, by the way, at KDDI Ishin Hall is the 741 drawn to Mayu's return show back in 2023, which stands as the 3rd highest attendance ever at the venue, behind 2 New Japan shows that drew 900, just in case you're interested. The results then, we open with a 6-woman tag match. Starlight Kid, Suzu Suzuki, and Akira Kuragani defeated the team of Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Uriah Hime in 12 minutes and 14 seconds. Suzu Suzuki picking the win up over Uriah Hime. In a 3-way match, Yuna Mizumori defeated Rian and Azusa Inaba with 9 minutes and 28 seconds on the clock. Yuna Mizumori pinning Rian. Tag match, the Neo Genesis team of Mei Saya and Miyu Amasaki defeated the Stars team of Hanan and Momo Kohgo. Mei Saya pinning Momo Kohgo with the shooting star in 9 minutes and 7 seconds. That is a fantastic match. Tag team match, Kupai Maika and Hanako defeated the Cosmic Angels team of Sayaka Kurora and Aya Sakura. Hanako picking up another big win over Aya Sakura with the JP Coaster in 13 minutes and 37 seconds. Your semi-main event was an 8-woman tag team match. The God's Eye team of Syuri, Tomoka Inaba, Lady C, and Rani Yagami getting their win back by defeating Hate, Natsukatora Konami, Saya Kamitani, and Ruaka. Syuri submitting Ruaka with the White Tiger in 11 minutes and 58 seconds. And then in your main event, special tag match, Mayu Iwatani and Tam Nakano defeating Momo AZ, Momo Watanabe, and Azumi. Mayu pinning Azumi with the moonsault in 14 minutes and 8 15 seconds. Hazuki and Koguma, by the way, missing from this show as they were defending the Oz Academy tag team titles in a match we spoke about a couple of minutes ago. Matt Turner, let's talk about this opener. What did you think of Akira Kurogane as a member of Neo Genesis, and how do you think Uriah Hime fit in with the Cosmic Angels?
Again, hot opener to start this show. Super Bowl Sunday, the day of the Super Bowl. Again, Eagles, Chiefs. No, Tam wrestling twice. That's what I want to talk. That's what I want to talk about, folks. That was the most important thing. I don't care if there was 158 million people watched the Super Bowl. I know there was one person that came home after making about 150 pizzas that watched Tam wrestle twice. This guy. Again, to answer your question, brother. Again, great. It's a hot opener. You look at the star power. You have Crazy Tiger Girl, and you have Mel Tier, and then you have the rookies in there. And again, I always say, one, start your show out with a hot opener. Two, if you have younger wrestlers, which obviously Stardom has a handful, put them in the ring with stars, not just the faction, but you know what I mean, your main eventers, because that's how they're going to learn. And what a great way for these younger wrestlers to learn. I thought they were great. I thought they both melded really well with their with the factions that they were put into for said match. Again, does that mean that Uriah is going to be joining Cosmic Angels? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. She looks really good in that graphic there with the purple and the purple on Tam, and she's almost doing the Tam kawaii cutie face there with the hands up. And then again, Akira here, to me, she screams God's Eye. She really does. Yeah. But she fit in really well here with Suzu and Starlight Kid. Again, Suzu and Starlight Kid, they did a great job putting her limited move set, because again, she's only had like 10 matches, putting her limited move set and where it was going to fit the most. But obviously here, the great stuff here is just the stuff with, Tam and Suzu Suzuki. They had a great, great World of Stardom Championship match back at the fall of last year. And we have been mentioning this the last couple weeks on this podcast, brother. We are not done with Starlight Kid and Natsupoi. They're clearly making that something that's readily available to us. They're clearly going to a rematch. When that is happening, I don't know, because obviously we got the match with Rina coming up at the end of the month. They planned some season for Tomoka Inaba. I don't know where they're going with this Starlight Kid versus Natsupoi rematch, but I am all for it. But really great stuff. Great tag worth, really back and forth with your star teams with Crazy Tiger Girl versus Meltier. And again, I thought the rookies fit in really well. And again, Tam, Natsupoi, Suzu Suzuki, and Starlight Kid, they made sure that their offense looked as good as it could be, really to try to uplift the stock of these young wrestlers. Excellent stuff back and forth, and I do like that Suzu Suzuki, again, we made mention with Mei Sarah winning with the Meteor Dragon. Suzu Suzuki, again, somebody that has a tequila roll, the tequila shot, and the locomotion German suplex. She does have a really great submission finisher with that double wrist lock, the Gambari lock, so I'd like to see Suzu win more matches with that. She gets the win here. Again, another hot opener. Elevating rookies. What more can you want to start off your show? 4 stars for me, good sir.
Moving on then to the second match on the card, Yuna, Azusa Inaba, and Rian. Matt, it's nice to see Yuna picking up back-to-back victories. And it's interesting looking ahead to the Cinderella, which is obviously, aside from Path of Thunder, the big thing. And the next FWC title defense has been scheduled for the 9th of March, which is the first night of the Cinderella. Now, a couple of people have written Hazuki off because, she's going to be defending the Oz Academy titles on that first night. We've seen people wrestle on similar nights. We saw it with Miyamoto earlier on this week. Yuna Mizumori, it would not surprise me if she has a very good run in this tournament. For a start, imagine the pineapple Cinderella dress. Just imagine that for a second. A tropical Cinderella dress, absolutely. But do not be surprised if she goes deep in this tournament. She could be a dark horse here.
Yeah, obviously we don't know the brackets. So we don't know if it's going to be 8, 16, if they're going to have some wrestlers with buys. Remember, Hazuki last year, she got a bye. That's a possibility. They can go with that format. Because last year's Cinderella tournament was booked really, really well. We didn't have any double eliminations, no double countouts. If you remember in 2023, by the time the first weekend of shows was over, there was like 9 wrestlers left, and there's 32 in the bracket. So depending on how the brackets go, I wouldn't be shocked to see her make the quarterfinals or semifinals. That's a possibility and be a great reward for all of her hard work that she's done over this last 2 years, because she's somebody we've really been singing the praises, and she's somebody that's really been putting in the work, and we're really starting to see the results. So yeah, it's nice to see Yuna getting, a win here. Kind of an odd three-way, because you kind of have styles really that don't mesh well, but they made sense. They all made sense. Again, Azusa Inaba was great here. Rihanna is somebody that continues to impress me. Again, three-ways are a little tricky to do, but they made this one work in the 9 minutes it was out there. I had it at 3.5 stars. And again, I would love to see Azusa versus Yuna in a straight-up singles match.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, this is a match I know you're very hard, and rightly so, because we saw Momo Kohgo challenge Mei Sarah for the high-speed title, and obviously that was a great match. We knew it would be. This was a continuation of that, because those two, that closing stretch was tremendous. So good. Obviously, Hanan and Miyu Amasaki were great as well, but for me, again, I was drawn to Momo Kohgo.
We've been talking on this podcast for years about improvement of wrestlers to the next level. Mina Shirakawa about 3 years ago, Xena, Yuna Mizumori, Mei Sakurai, and obviously what she's doing in Marigold is amazing. Momo Kohgo in like 6-7 months, I think, is going to be like right there. Again, she's somebody that's so endearing with the crowd. She speaks English. She's over with the U.S. audience. The few shows that she's been on the U.S. and even she was in I think the pre-show at that Ring of Honor show that we went into back
against Mariah
May, and she got a huge pop when she came out. So she's somebody that is over with the Japanese crowd and with the English-speaking crowd. She was terrific. But before we get into that sequence, we always seem to forget about this never-ending feud that they really need to light back up with Hanan and Mei Sarah. They just start out beating the crap out of each other, and it seems like they're in the ring like once a month, and they just start beating each other up and pulling each other's hair, and then like the members of Neo Genesis has to pull Mei off Hanan, and Hanan, the members of Stars, have to pull Hanan off Mei Sarah. It's like, why won't just give us that match? Like, just give us that match. We haven't had that big singles match, but it's like, I hate you, you hate me. Let's beat each other up, and then all right, I'll see you in 6 weeks. Let's like. You completely forgot that that's a match that everybody wants to see. And I guess it's there when they're ever ready to pull the trigger, but we forget about it. And then it's like once they start beating the crap out of each other, like, oh, yeah, they don't like each other because of something on the bus or something like 2 years ago.
So I can't remember. It was something really, really obscure. But what made me laugh was I'd forgotten about it immediately after that exchange again. I was like, oh, this feud, brilliant. And then I forgot about it because the match was great. And then randomly, Hanan just attacked Mei Sarah on the apron as well. It was like, what is going on?
What if it has anything to do with Mariah May? Because you remember Mariah May before she left the company.
Locked Mei Sarah in a locker.
Well, not only that, but yeah, not only that. Remember, she was, and I only remember this because Tony Storm last week on AEW came out dressed up as Mariah May, and I'm like, oh, Hanan did it first.
Yeah.
Hanan did it first. Remember
yes,
at the Dream Star where they switched each other's gear. So it's just like, I wonder if that has something to do with it. The fact that like Mariah May's protege before she left was Hanan, and she hated Mei Sarah and put Mei Sarah in the locker. And again, partner, me and you, nobody in Philadelphia had a better seat to a line cutter Mariah May at WrestleCon last year, where she came over to I cut you in line to go to Mina Shirakawa and get a photo, and then cut me in line to start giving some crap to Mei Sarah. So it's like, we were right there.
We should have seen Mariah May's heel turn coming a mile off, shouldn't we? Only heels cut the line.
We're just so gullible. We just love everybody so much. But anywho, there's some underlining stories there. Back to this match. Yeah, obviously Hanan and Mei Sarah, again, there's something there, and I can't wait for them to pull the trigger on a big singles match between the two of them, because it's going to be great. Again, Miyu Amasaki was terrific. Her exchanges with Hanan. And what's so great about Stars is you have your main teams. You have Peach Rock, you have Wingori, you have FWC. Every now and again, we'll get the Mayu and Hanan team of Eye Contact. And they all work. They're all great. But we've seen Hanan and Momo Kohgo these last few shows have really great tag chemistry together. They worked really, really well together. And then you get this phenomenal, blown away ending sequence with Momo Kohgo. These two have such great chemistry. They have a great high-speed championship match back at the end of last year, and Momo Kohgo's only getting better, and she's only getting more over with the crowd. And their sequence, not only was the speed perfect, the timing was perfect. It was like wrestling shouldn't be this beautiful. Like, it was, their ending sequence was absolutely beautiful, just perfect. And what just a
Mhm.
flawless finish with Momo Kohgo going for the 619 and Mei Sarah rolling her up into the schoolgirl, but then rolling all the way through for the rolling shooting star. I thought that was wrestling perfection. The timing, the psychology, when they did it in the match, the ring positioning was just like something that is straight out of a movie, like almost like a stunt coordinator between these two. Phenomenal finish. I had it 4 stars, but because the finish was so good and got such a bigger reaction, I bumped it up to 4.25 stars. And again, I'm so happy that we're singing these praises as much as we are for Momo Kogo, because she absolutely has earned it. You know, we talk all the time about her fighting through Graves' disease and the fact that she's in such great shape and having great matches and constantly eating L's, but constantly getting over, constantly being the pin eater of stars. But yet these matches that they're having, whether it's straight up tag or 6-person or 8-person or 10-person, are all built around Momo Kogo. We may mention the show we just talked about in the opener. It was great. You had Tam in there and Poi and Mayu and Hazuki. Who is the MVP? Who do they put the match around? Momo Kogo. Who do you have in this match? You have all champions except Momo Kogo, the winner of the Cinderella tournament last year in Hanan. All great wrestlers. And here's Momo Kogo. They built the match around her. And you just made mention, partner. Who's everybody drawn to? Momo Kogo. It's again, she's somebody that when they're ready to pull the trigger, have her go on a big winning streak. I thought she was fantastic here. Again, 4.25 stars, the MVP of this match, no doubt.
Moving on, then we move on to Koppai Mate versus Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora. We sort of alluded to earlier that there seems to be cracks forming in Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora's relationship. Obviously, we saw here Sayaka Kurora accidentally taking out Aya Sakura with the Tokameki Spear, which led to the finish. And what I think is very interesting is we've seen Tam lose members of her roster because she is so focused on others. We saw it clear as day with Mina Shirakawa when Tam was focusing that hard on Natsupoi that Mina Shirakawa slipped through her fingers. And I am wondering if we are building to something where, because Tam is so obsessed with Sayaka Kurora, and obviously we've got this ongoing storyline with Saya Kamitani attempting to draw Sayaka Kurora to the dark side because she is your father. I am wondering if you're welcome for that, by the way.
Great. Great.
Thank you very much. I'm wondering if it's a case of that Tam is so focused on Sayaka Kurora that she's neglected Aya Sakura, and that's where we are going next. I'm not necessarily saying Aya Sakura is joining Hate, because let's face it, they have enough members. But could this be a change of character for Aya Sakura, a change of direction for Aya Sakura, a change of unit for Aya Sakura? Maybe that is where Uriah Hime then goes into Cosmic Angels to fill the gap or the void left by Aya Sakura. Of course, I want to see Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora win the New Blood Tag titles. I think they would be tremendous champions. However, something we've noticed, particularly with Taro Okada's booking, is that stuff doesn't happen for no reason. And this has happened for a reason.
Darth Rob Vader. Have you watching Skeleton Crew? Are you watching Skeleton Crew by chance? It's a really good show.
I haven't. I need to. I have seen it. It's just with everything else I'm watching,
Sure.
I haven't got enough time. I do need to watch it.
It's Star Wars meets the Goonies. You'll really like it. You know what, Rob? Now that I'm thinking about, I'm looking at this graphic. Aya Sakura's hair is dark. It's black.
Oh, don't start.
Hate confirmed. Now, but you know Hanako, her gear in this, but she got new gear for the last show, which we'll get into. So maybe
She did, yeah.
Maybe she's not joining Hate. But anywho, in all seriousness, yeah, you're right. There seems to be all this miscommunication with Sakura hitting the spear. But you're right, where everything seems like at Path of Thunder that maybe it is Sakura that's going to do the heel turn. What if it's Aya Sakura? Because I think her style is more built because it's more vicious for Hate. I think where Sakura is more of an endearing baby face. She's getting over because she's that underneath baby face that I don't think her style would mesh with Hate, but I think Aya Sakura would. So that's a really good point. Maybe she's focusing too much on Soriano and Natsupoi and Sayaka Kurora that maybe Aya Sakura is the one that slips through her fingertips and she's the one to join Hate. I don't know. You're right. They have enough members, and the fact that maybe one top Gaijin may be coming back to Stardom from all the things we've been seeing, and she's a perfect fit for Hate. Again, that is another story for another day. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of underlining stories. Regardless, I thought this match was solid. Aya Sakura gets out a really fast start on Maika, but Maika and Hanako do some really great tag work here. They're using their size, they're using their strength to really grind down Aya and Sayaka. Sayaka is able to come back really, with her explosive offense that she has. Aya Sakura comes in, with the kicks, the strikes, the submissions, really good stuff here. But eventually, though, everybody's coming in. It's all about key moves back to back to back, but eventually just miscommunication with Sayaka Kurora accidentally hitting the spear onto Aya, and Hanako takes advantage with the JP coaster. Shout out to the Jumbo Princess to get the win. Solid match, 3 3/4 stars for me.
I mean, obviously, I know you've mentioned the top guys in there. I don't know whether the human Cadillac Dorian DeVille will be joining Hate. I think that's very presumptuous.
I think he's perfect, buddy. I would love to see, him and Saya Kamitani, I think would make a great team. He is a big, notable beer drinker. So, I'd love to see a beer drink off with him and Maika. There's a lot of really good stuff with the top guys in the human Cadillac, Dorian DeVille.
Of course, free agent, human Cadillac, Dorian DeVille. So again, who knows?
Oh my
Moving
goodness.
on to the semi-main event then, God's Eye versus Hate. And it's a continuation from the Kobe show with God's Eye, with the numbers evened up, crucially, getting the win back with Syuri destroying Ruaka with the White Tiger mat.
Yeah, again, Lady C here. We're building her up for something. Eventually, we get there. Tomoka Inaba is great. Rana Yagami. There was a lot of kick sandwiches in this match with Syuri, Tomoka Inaba, and Rana just exchanging back and forth, and I never get tired of it. I really don't. Again, a little more stuff with Syuri and Saya Kamitani. That is a match we have not got since 2021, and these two over the years have gotten much better. And the fact that you have a clear babyface, clear heel, Saya Kamitani is your red belt champion. We haven't done anything major with Syuri in quite some time. That's a match I definitely want to see, maybe sometime in the summer. But a lot of this is just easy story to tell. You have your ass kickers in God's Eye. How is Hate going to get the advantage? We got to do some cheating. We got to do some chair bowling. Ultimately, though, it's Syuri taking to task the young Ruaka, submitting her to the White Tiger. Again, simple story to tell. Nice that we're after God's Eye lost the show before, we got him another win here, and a really emphatic win with the submission, with really Ron and Lady C and Tomoka Inaba kind of putting the boots, to Hate here. 3 3/4 stars for me.
And then moving on to the main event match of the show, for a whole host of reasons. We saw the return of the streamers, and then, of course, heel Momo Watanabe couldn't leave well enough alone and attacked Mayu during the streamers' entry. I think it's very, very brave to attack a notoriously clumsy person while she's wrapped up in streamers. But there we are. Tam was doing her best to tear the streamers as she was running after Mayu, which I thought was quite funny. But the match itself is great. I thought you had that Stars offense that we haven't seen in so long between Tam and Mayu. Very seamless. They just returned to it as though they've never been away from each other. We even saw some Momoas tag team work as well, which was great. The wheelbarrow into the double foot stomp, which we haven't seen again since 2021. Ultimately, of course, Momo Watanabe accidentally, shall we call it? I mean, she paused for a good while before she just went and lamped Azumi with the baseball. That of course led to the finish with Mayu hitting the moonsault. Of course, Momo AZ weren't going to coexist well. I thought this match, though, as a special main event, a one-off, I thought this was really, really good, Matt. Really, really entertaining.
Yeah, again, Momo AZ, I've always said they're the best tag team to never win the Goddess belts. Maybe with the exception of like Thunder Rock, FWC, and Meltier. Probably my all-time favorite tag team in Stardom. And again, considering the fact that they never won the Goddess belts before. So Momo Oz, or as my wife calls Azumi Momo. I don't know. Yeah, it's like
Momo.
Azuma Momo. She kept anywho. Yeah, again, the fact that we thought we were gonna get Saki Kashima in this match. Obviously, she's sick. Who's gonna be the replacement? Again, when you have to call an audible and you can make the match, no disrespect to Saki Kashima, make the match better because you're putting a main eventer in there with Tam, and then there's more story to it because we know we're getting a big Tam Mayu match somewhere down the line, and obviously Tam has really great chemistry with Azumi and Momo Watanabe. So you kind of have your breaking up of singles matches Again, Mayu, phenomenal chemistry with Momo. You can make an argument it's the greatest feud in Stardom's history and an ongoing feud. We just saw Mayu and Azumi tear the house down at the Tokyo Dome at Wrestle Kingdom just about 6 weeks ago. But you're right, really when this match really starts breaking down, Momo, Watanabe, and Azumi turn back the clock, 4 or 5 years ago. And flawless teamwork as if they just teamed the week before. Mayu and Tam as well. They did the FWC dive with Mayu doing the suicide dive and Tam doing the big post dive off the top rope. So I thought that was really cool. You're kind of doing FWC's dive. And then they did that rocket launcher spot, which we've seen Momo and Mayu do not only when they were in Team and Stars, but when they were doing those generational tag matches in Cork and Hall back in 2023, where Tam does the kick up and Mayu does the rocket launcher German suplex. But when they did it to Azumi, I don't know if it's because Azumi's just smaller, but they properly launched Azumi. Like
Mayu went miles, yeah.
Yeah, she snapped back real quick. But you're right, obviously, Momo and Azumi start to, they're getting back together, not back together, but like it's like, oh, remember this? And they're on all sorts of cylinders. They do, the double stomp wheelbarrow spot. They do the double knee spot. Like all of it's starting to come back, and then Momo goes for the baseball bat shot, and Azumi's like, no, don't cheat. Momo's like, I'm going to cheat. She hits the baseball bat shot to poor Azumi. Tam hits the tiger suplex. Mayu with the moonsault. Phenomenal match. I would love to see this lead to maybe a little something with Azumi and Momo because there's still a lot there. And they had a great match on night one of last year's 5-star Grand Prix. My favorite match from this show, 4.25 stars. Really, really great stuff with 4 unbelievable wrestlers.
Absolutely. And do you know what? Call me a hopeless sort of romantic for the past, but good God, do I miss those streamers. Even in the main event matches, just bring them back. If Taro Okada listens to this podcast, I don't think he does, but again, just bring back the streamers, please, just for the main event. It's such a wonderful feeling. It really is. And you could see how much it meant to Mayu in particular. That being said, we do not stop. Instead, we move to Hiroshima, Stardom in Hiroshima 2025, Tuesday, the 11th of February 2025. Again, live on Stardom World. Hazuki and Koguma do return on this show. Unfortunately, Saki Kashima is still out with illness. Momo Watanabe and Ruaka both absent from this show as they are participating on Seedling's show in Shinkiba. The announced attendance, by the way, inside of the Hiroshima Prefectural Industrial Hall was 437. Of the 7 times Stardom have run the venue, this is only the 3rd time the company have surpassed the 400 mark. Though it is a good number, undoubtedly, it's still a marginal decrease, around 5.5% from the last time they ran the venue, which was 462 as a part of the 2024 Golden Week Fight Tour. Looking at the results then, we opened with a tag match. The Neo Genesis team of Azumi and Suzu Suzuki, they defeated Maika and Uriah Hime. Azumi pinning Uriah Hime in 8 minutes and 24 seconds with the diving double foot stomp. Match number 2, the Stars team of Hanan and Koguma, they defeated the Odd Bod team again of Saori Anou and Rana Yagami. Hanan pinning Rana Yagami in 9 minutes exactly with the 17. Poor Rana Yagami. She has been shunted around different people, hasn't she, in different factions. Match 3 saw the tag team of Aya Sakura and Yuna Mizumori. They defeated the team of Mei and Akira Kuragani, with Aya Sakura submitting Kuragani with the triangle choke in 9 minutes and 43 seconds. 6-woman tag action. The Stars team of Mayu Iwatani, Hazuki, and Momo Kohgo, they defeated the team of Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Sayaka Kurora. Mayu submitting the Sayaka Kurora with, speaking of underutilized submission finishes, the 2-step dragon sleeper, which is always really, really good, really brutal to watch as well. 13 minutes and 57 seconds. In your semi-main event tag action, Miyu Amasaki and Starlight Kid of Neo Genesis defeated the EXV team of Hanako and Rian. Miyu Amasaki getting a decisive pinfall over the challenger. Hanako with the Tenzai in 12 minutes and 43 seconds. And then in your main event, the Hate trio of Saya Kamitani, Natsukatora, and Konami defeated the God's Eye team of Shiori Lady C and Kyoko Katatsu, with Konami pinning Katatsu in 14 minutes and 2 seconds with a buzzsaw kick. Matt, obviously, this is the first time that the two have squared off since Kyoko Katatsu came to Shiori's rescue at Korakuen Hall. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about this opening tag, Neo Genesis against Maika and Yuria Hime. What did you think of this?
As soon as like the bell rings and there's a lockup, the crowd is like nuclear. Like they're really hot. And I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Again, you have 3 main eventers and one of your new rookies in Yuria. Am I saying that right?
Yuria Hime, yeah.
Yuria Hime. But they were really hot to go. And then I don't know what happened, but Suzu beat up a guy that works for Freedoms. Is that what, like, a lot of this match, she's just beating up a guy in the crowd that had a Freedoms poster, and then she did the drive-by to Yuria with the poster. I was like, I don't know what that's about. I don't know if she's going to go do a death match. They put a lot of it on social media, but as far as the match goes, again, they did a good job, making the rookie look as good as she could. And I made mention this at the just a little bit ago, that Maika, Suzu, again, there's a lot there. And then Maika and Azumi, really underrated chemistry. Really good stuff there. Again, I would love to see, obviously they can, anytime they want to pull the trigger on a big Suzu and Maika match, it's there. They have instant chemistry. Their styles mesh really well. But again, it's just a credit to Azumi, who works at high-speed style offense, but we've seen her have great chemistry with Utami, great chemistry with Momo Watanabe, great chemistry with Shiri, obviously great chemistry with Starlight Kid, Natsupoi, and great chemistry with Maika. Again, she is the high-speed bomb girl, but at the same time, she can work any style. And I always say she's the most talented wrestler in all of wrestling for a reason. It's because she can adapt to any style and make anybody, whether it's the person on the bottom or the main eventer, look really, really good. It just goes to show you how much of a special wrestler that Azumi is. And again, this is just goes to show you just how special Neo Genesis is, because Suzu and Azumi aren't a pairing we see a lot as a straight up tag team. And I thought they were terrific here. I really thought they were great. Again, Maika was great. Yuri Hime, she was terrific here. Probably one of her better outings. Again, they did a good job showing her strengths and taking away her negatives. But ultimately, it was just that wild double stomp from Azumi to the rookie. I had this one at 3 3/4 stars.
Moving on then to Ron Yagami's latest partner in Shiori Ano, we had the Stars team of Hanan and Koguma, who were always a very entertaining duo when they get to team together against Shiori Ano and Ron Yagami. Matt, what did you think about these pairings, and how do you think Ron Yagami fared teaming with Shiori Ano?
They start with the Kuma dance. They start with the, we're not done with that, but it always pops the crowd. Again, Rani Yagami, she's somebody that is so talented, so young into her career, but we've been kind of seeing her kind of go, I guess, I don't want to say in and out of factions, but just like, we'll just put it with said person. She's definitely a member of God's Eye. She's definitely a member of God's Eye. She fits the God's Eye mold. Absolutely perfect. And I mean that in the best way possible. Han and Koguma, again, another really great makeshift team in the Stars faction. Soriano was terrific here. Again, I made mention maybe about an hour or so ago in that opener in the first show that Soriano and Kagama had really great chemistry. They did here. Obviously, Soriano and Hanan, they're phenomenal together. We talk all the time about that fantastic Wonder of Stardom Championship match back at All-Star Grand Queendom. Really great stuff here. Hanan and Rani Yagami, they meshed really well together. A solid enough match. I had it at where my head at 3.5 stars. But yeah, Rani Yagami is, no disrespect to her, is not a member of Cosmic Angels. She is a member of God's Eye through and through.
Are you telling me that you can't see Rani Yagami doing the Cosmic Angels dance?
I know you're going to say. I'll say it for you. She'll do it better than Waka.
She will do it better than Waka Tsukiyama, without a shadow of a doubt. Moving on then to Mei and Akira Kuragani losing to Yuna Mizumori and Aya Sakura. Aya Sakura picking up the win, which is great. Obviously, I feel like she looked a little bit more aggressive in this match. And I don't know whether this is because of my tunnel vision on this is where we are going in relation to the miscommunication on the previous show. But yeah, to me, Aya Sakura certainly seemed to wrestle a little bit more aggressively here.
Yeah, I don't know if it's maybe something that they may be low-key wanting to do a high-speed championship match with Aya versus Mei Sarah, because the limited time they were in the ring together, I thought was really good. And again, we need challengers for that division. But ultimately, this was really kind of almost like two singles matches with Akira and Aya, and they were great because they work very similar, hard-hitting styles. And then Yuna and Mei Sarah, and it looks like that's where someone we're going to go back to that rematch. Again, they sold like 1,200 tickets in Cork and Hall as the main event. They had a really, really great high-speed championship match, and now we have this new set of rules for the high-speed championship. I would not say no to Yuna getting another title shot. Again, Mei Sarah, she's terrific here. She's such a special talent. You know, I mentioned Azumi, one of the most talented wrestlers of all of wrestling. Mei Sarah is right there with her. She's so good at everything that she does. But ultimately, though, it's Aya Sakura. You're absolutely right. Really aggressive towards the end, especially with those mid kicks. And then she uses that head kick to transition into the triangle choke for the finish. Really solid match. In the finish, I really, really enjoyed. I had this one at 3 3/4 stars.
We move on then to the 6-woman tag match, Matt. Now we've spoken a lot about Momo Kohgo throughout the entirety of this podcast. Do you feel like she was the shining light in this 6-woman tag as well, Matt?
She was close, but I think when they were putting this match together, Mayu was lacing up her boots and looked at young Sakura and said, "Get ready, kid, because we're going to make you a star." Because Mayu Iwatani gave her so much, especially towards the end. Like, she got out of the two-step dragon and got a roll-up that the crowd bid on. Like, the crowd actually bid on that. That's just credit to Mayu Iwatani being so great and so believable that they had Sakura almost got a win here. What I liked about this match is that any time that poor Sakura was getting taken to task by all of these members of Stars, whether it was great teamwork with Hazuki and Mayu or great teamwork with Momo Kohgo and Mayu, that Meltier would come in for the save. You know, the super kicks, the German suplexes, the dives. I thought that was really good that they basically Meltier, they laid out this match where they made Sayaka Kurora look really, really good. Made her like she took a beating, but really showed that resiliency in this match. And like Meltier just came in, they kind of just played the hits. So they weren't overshadowing Sayaka Kurora. And that's what I really liked about this match. There was one point, I think that Sayaka Kurora, she's known for the spear, but I think she's only hit it once. She goes for that sliced bread number 2. And it gets blocked every single time. I would just like to see her hit it. Like, I think she's only hit it once. Like, I just don't know. Like, she's not allowed to hit it. But she goes to hit on Mayu. Mayu throws her off. And then as soon as she throws her off, Hazuki's right there to meet her with a foot right to the face. It was right to the face. It was like Hazuki was Hazuki, you know? I mean, it's why we love Hazuki. But again, Momo Kohgo was great here. Great teamwork here with all 3 of these, with all 6 of these wrestlers, these 2 teams. Really great stuff back and forth. Again, these multi-person matches for Stardom, for them to work the psychology and the fast pace and just the timing and the ring position, the fact they do it without skipping a beat. It just goes to show you how talented these wrestlers are. And this one was just another one that I was just blown away by how crisp everything was, the timing. Nobody was waiting around. Nobody missed a step. Everything was there. We didn't go too fast, but it wasn't too slow. Nobody missed anything. They built up Sakura great in this match. But then ultimately it's Mayu hitting the super kick and then doing basically the 2-step dragon sleeper for the tap out. I had this one actually partner at 4 1/4 stars. I liked it that much. I thought it was absolutely terrific. Yes. And then plus there was more violence on poor Natsupoi. More violence on poor Natsupoi. And I'll tell you this, partner, one other thing too that I mentioned in this is we've never seen a big singles match with Tam and Hazuki. And their exchanges in this match was like, oh, I would like to see that go somewhere. I mean, I think they probably wrestled each other in the 5-star Grand Prix. I don't think they were in each other's blocks in the last few years. But I would love, because Suzuki is the best she's ever been and only getting better. And the same thing with Tam. And Tam is obviously, drawing better than maybe anybody ever in the history of this company. I would love to see them have a big singles match. Doesn't need a championship. Let's just do a Tam versus Suzuki match, because we never got it. And the exchanges that we got here, I was like, yeah, we've never seen that before. We've never seen that before. But again, this is just another phenomenal match on a solid card, 4 1/4 stars, like I said before, partner.
Semi-main event then, we had our final Future of Stardom preview tag. Miyu Amasaki getting a little bit of revenge by planting Hanako with the Tenzai. Again, you look at this pairing and you could argue that the big outlier here is Rian. And actually, I thought Rian did another tremendous job with what she was given. And we took, you spoke earlier about people who've developed in a quick space of time. I feel like Miyu Amasaki is certainly one to put on that list. And I think Rian is someone as well who has really, really, really begun to flourish on this card.
Yeah, again, solid outing from Rian and Starlight Kid, but this match was ultimately about building up to that future Stardom Championship match that we're going to be talking about here in just a little bit with Miyu Amasaki and Hanako. They gave us just a little bit to be like wanting more. Starlight Kid does a great job showing that she's the big star in this match and saving Miyu Amasaki. Again, Miyu Amasaki did get the win over Hanako, but you can say every single time Miyu was in trouble, Starlight Kid was there for the save. That's not going to happen when they have their singles match. So I like that role. And, Starlight Kid, again, she's, if you're going by kayfabe, the second best wrestler in this company because she is holding the Wonder of Stardom Championship. So she's basically playing big sister here on Miyu Amasaki. Like, okay, right, she's in trouble again. Let me come in there and try to make the save on the bigger, badder Hanako. And Rian played her role really well. Hanako obviously has a great team with Maika as Hi Mate, great team with Waka as Rice or Bread, or better known, come on, folks, as Wanako. Damn right. But we've seen Hanako and Rian in these matches, whether it's straight up tags or 6 persons or 8 persons. Hanako and Rian have really good tag chemistry as well, which again just goes to show you the great depth of this roster, the fact they can adapt with any other wrestler as a tag team 6-person or with opponents across from the ring. And again, Starlight Kid and Miyu Amasaki was no exception. We know Starlight Kid is great with Suzu. We know she's great with Izumi. We know that Miyu is great with Izumi as part of his O2 line. But Starlight Kid and Miyu Amasaki have some really great underrated chemistry as a tag team, as part of that Neo Genesis duo. But again, solid match, easy psychology, made sense. Even though Hanako ate the finish here with Starlight Kid, again, your Wonder of Stardom champion, had to come in and constantly making the save for Miyu to eventually open up the door for the Tensai to get the win. I had this one at 4 stars, buddy. Absolutely loved it.
And then finally, your main event, Konami in her home prefecture of Hiroshima. And it was Hate that picked up the victory. It was Konami that picked up the victory over her former Bloodsport opponent, Kyoko Kotatsu. Matt, this was a solid enough match without, and again, no disrespect, without being blowaway. Because I feel like we've seen, again, this is a lot of bubbling on before we get to that inevitable Shuri and Konami match. I do like the fact, though, that we have introduced Kyoko Kotatsu into this feud as well, because it does offer a different layer to it.
Yeah, again, Kyoko Kotatsu, she's terrific. And I like this match starts off with Shuri and Konami. It's just like everybody spread out because this is what this match is all about. And they do some great grappling back and forth, some really great striking. Eventually we get Kyoko Kotatsu as it comes in, and they do a great job. By they, I mean these members of Hate really selling and putting Kyoto over, especially Saya Kamitani. She's the red belt champion. She gave Kyoko Kotatsu quite a bit, which makes sense because you're building her up. Again, she's the newer member of this roster. She's not a rookie, but she's the newer member of this roster. She's somebody we're highlighting in God's Eye as we're building God's Eye back up, especially the fact that at the end of last year, they didn't have too much going on, but all of a sudden, they're really building them up and having a legit badass, legit shooter like Kyoko Kotatsu in the group. They do a great job highlighting her. Again, we only got it for a little bit. Shuri Sai Kamitani. I know I sound like a broken record. I would love for them to go there because, again, Sai Kamitani is your big money draw. You're a big champion that we're riding this wave of momentum. And every time they give Shuri just a little bit for something to bite into, she knocks it out of the park. So let's go there. Let's go there. But again, great psychology. Again, Lady C, she was terrific here. She's the hammer. Great stuff with Konami. Her and Tora did a great job battering each other. Again, there's another low-key singles match. I would like to see Lady C and Natsuko Tora give them 8-9 minutes and just have them go out there and just waylay on each other. Who wouldn't want to see that? But again, they do a great job making Kyoko Kotatsu look like a legit killer here, only for Konami to kind of rally the storm and to be able to put Kyoto away with a brutal buzzsaw kick. Again, a solid match to end another great show. I had this one at 4 stars.
Yeah, it was a good show, definitely. I think of the 4 shows that we're talking about here, I'd actually argue that it's probably the show with the least coming out of it in terms of story. I think in Kobe you had 2 very, very good matches in the opener, and Sakura and Hanan. On the Yamaguchi show, obviously, you had the tag match, which we both really enjoyed, and you had the main event as well, of course, making that show special. I feel like Hiroshima lacked that a little bit. Solid enough matches, absolutely, but I think lacked a little bit in comparison to the other shows. That, of course, was completely negated by the Osaka show, which they ran the very next day, because this show was another very, very good show. We're going back to Edion Arena Osaka #2, live and direct, Wednesday, the 12th of February. The announced attendance, 461. And though it's a 16.9% decrease on their previous visit to the arena, which was 553 on night 3 of the New Year Unit League in January, it's still a number that is above the 428 average that Stardom currently have from the 52 times they've run the building. Let's run through these matches then. 6-woman tag match open proceedings. The hate team of Saya Kamitani, Natsuko Tora, and Konami defeated the Cosmic Angels team of Tam, Nakano, Natsupoi, and Sayaka Kurora. Saya Kamitani pinning Sayaka Kurora with the Star Crusher in 13 minutes and 7 seconds as we look to really put emphasis on this interesting story heading into Path of Thunder. Tag team match followed this. The Cosmic Angels team of Sayori Ano and Aya Sakura defeated the Stars team of Hanan and Momo Kohgo. Aya Sakura picking up another big victory over Momo Kohgo, this time planting her with the high kick in 8 minutes and 57 seconds. 3-on-4 handicap match. It turns out, Matt, that the handicap was actually for the team of Maika, Rian, and the rookies, because the Stars team of Mayu, Iwatani, Hazuki, and Koguma, they defeated the quartet, that's the word I'm looking for, of Maika, Rian, Akira Kuragani, and Uriah Hime, with Koguma rolling up Kuragani with the Kuma roll in 10 minutes and 25 seconds. In a match that transpired was an unofficial high-speed #1 contendership match, Fukigen Death, the queen of the roll-up, defeated Yuna Mizumori with a pinfall reversal in 6 minutes. Dead on. Semi-main event, so the 8-woman tag match. God's Eye, Shiori Kyoka Katatsu, Lady C, and Ron Yagami defeating Neo Genesis, Azumi, Starlight Kid, Suzuki, and Mei Sarah. Lady C getting the victory over Azumi by flattening her with a big boot. That absolutely needs to be her finish from now on. 12 minutes and 9 seconds on the clock there. And then in your main event, the Future of Stardom Championship, the 11th Future of Stardom champion, Miyu Amasaki, who is 130 days into her reign, by the way, defending successfully for the 3rd time by going to a time limit draw with Hanako. 15 minutes on the clock there, Matt. So let's talk then about where we could possibly be going with this hate Sayaka Kurora and Tam Nakano storyline, because we've talked a little bit about how Tam's obsession with both Saya Kamitani, hate, and Sayaka Kurora could lead to issues a little closer to home, in specifically Aya Sakura. I'm really intrigued as to what happens at Path of Thunder, but not only that, I feel there is a reason that we are still, we're 10 days out from the Utsuno Maya pay-per-view, and we still don't know who Saya Kamitani's mystery partner is. I do think there's a reason we haven't had that announced.
Do you think they wait until the day of the show? Like almost like the Hogan heel turn, where it's like you don't know who the third man is, like you don't know, and then all of a sudden it's Aya Sakura. Like, is that something where they do? I mean, again, they sold out the building to the point where they just announced earlier today that they're opening up more and more seats for this building.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's something that we need to announce. We can kind of keep that close to the vest. Is that something where you think they do, Rob? Do you think, or I know Kamitani said it's going to be a member of hate, but at the same time, it's pro wrestling. You can't, obviously, it's a work. So I mean, I'm gonna, again, my left field pick just out real quick. Obviously, we'll talk about it more. I think we'll probably preview that show next week, right? Yeah, because next week, yeah. I'm gonna say it's B. Priestley, just because of the fact that her 90-day no compete means she can't compete on a company that is running worldwide pay-per-view, and Stardom doesn't have that. So I think it's going to be B. I'm not putting any money on it. I'll bet you a Vegas beer. when we're at Marvelous at 11 o'clock at night. And it's just me and you as our significant others are like, aren't they tapped out? So that's all.
I'm sorry. It is a busy day that Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm buzzing.
Yeah. But anywho, go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir. What do you think? Do you think it's going to be? It's going to be somebody that's an actual hate, like where it's going to be maybe a Zusa Inaba, a Konami, a Tora, a Momo. Like, it's really intriguing because that show, there's so much stuff going on in the best way possible. And that's kind of going to be our catapult into the Cinderella. And then the Cinderella is going to be our catapult into the Vegas shows and then All-Star Grand Queendom. So again, there's a lot of stuff funneling in. There's a lot of great, and it's really, really excited to be a Stardom fan. It really, really is right now. I mean, anytime is. We just hype it up. You know what I mean?
We apparently are quite positive. It's an interesting one because if you don't announce it till the actual pay-per-view itself, and you then it is relatively underwhelming, no disrespect, but say that it is Ruaka, for example. I feel like that's relatively underwhelming. I feel like if you're going to leave it until the day of the show, it needs to be something that's going to mess with Tam, because that's what Saya is doing. She's messing with Tam. I don't think Tam loses here, simply because I think it's going to be Tam that challenges Saya at the Yokohama Arena. I don't think it should be. And I've sort of said, I feel like we need to give that more time to breathe, but you also are looking at trying to sell 10,000 tickets in the Yokohama Arena. We've already proved that the money match in terms of the red belt is probably Tam and Saya due to the tickets that they sold at Dream Queendom. It's either going to be that or it's going to be Maika, I think because we're going to get an announcement soon, aren't we? We're just over a week away. We already know 4 matches. We know that Saya Iida's returning to with Hanan for the tag titles against Crazy Star. That's going to be great. We know Starlight Kid's going to be defending the white belt against Rina. That's going to be great. We know we've got this match as well, and we also know that we've got the Future of Stardom Championship match, Hina versus Miyu Amasaki, which has been made official today.
Is there a match graphic for that, Rob?
There is no match graphic. Oh. There is a match graphic for Starlight Kid and Rina, though, so that is officially official.
Stardom Cast official. Stardom Cast official. SCO.
Stamp. Yeah, absolutely. It's got the stamp of approval from me. I don't know. In answer to your question, I think it depends on whether you think Tam and Sayaka Kurora are going to lose. I am firmly of the opinion that Sayaka Kurora does not turn. We've already seen many, 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 many turns. I think Sayaka Kurora would be better for her career, especially at the moment, to continue on the trajectory that she's on in terms of that white meat underdog babyface. I think she performs that role very, very well. Then again, what do I know? I said that about Saya Kamitani. I don't know. I don't think there's been enough seeds planted for Aya Sakura to turn explicitly heel, especially not yet.
Rob, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I'm going to mention something just because I don't want it to happen.
Don't put it into the universe then.
I'm going to put it in the universe that don't want it to happen. So what about Soriano? You made mention. Okay. You made mention that Tam she's focused on Natsupoi with Meltier and say so. Soriano, we have seen Soriano, and again, I've seen a handful of matches outside of Stardom at Oz Academy when she's in all black and she's doing the Ice Queen or the Dark Queen or whatever. She looks straight out of an X-Men comic book as like the Goblin Queen. She does. So like her look would fit perfect, but at the same time, I think she would get lost in the shuffle.
Oh God,
everything going on with Hate. Again, you made mention about an hour or so ago where Tam is focusing on other members of Cosmic Angels. Does somebody slip through the cracks? Like, what about Soriano? But at the same time, you have Kamitani. And then again, if Momo leaves, you maybe need that other big main eventer that can work her heel style. But I'm glad you shot that down within a half a second, because the last thing I would want is for the work rate Angels to split up. But as far as this match goes, partner, this Tam and is something really special that they have, especially this version, and the way that we thought at Dream Queendom at the 29th of December, it was going to be the exclamation on the point of the feud, at least for now, close the book and come back to it. I'm like, oh no, we're just getting started we're just getting started because Kamitani gets the win. She gets the win, not by cheating, but not by playing fair, and then forces Tam to put the belt on her, and then Tam cuts the promo backstage, which was phenomenal. But again, that show for Path of Thunder was selling really well. Then they make this tag match official, and I think 24 hours later it sold out. So again, it's the drawing power of Tam versus Saya. Whether they pull the ending of this story, at least the next big chapter, has to be Tam finally getting that win over Kamitani. Again, it would make sense for you to have the match in Yokohama because you're trying to draw 10,000 tickets. But at the same time, do not take the belt off Kamitani. Do not take the belt off Kamitani because you're riding that wave. So this might be something where it's just like, let's run this rematch back because this feud's hot. And I made mention last week, if you let it draw out too long, there's a possibility that it fizzles out a little bit. Again, this isn't the 80s, when I grew up, where you would have a match that way, a program. Look at Hogan and Savage that went from WrestleMania to WrestleMania. They knew where they were going a year and change out, and it made sense. We live in the YouTube generation where we want it and we want it now. So, but at the same time, if any wrestling company can keep a feud hot for a year, it's Stardom. Again, I'm Mr. Tam Nakano. At the same time, I love me some Saya Kamitani, but most importantly, I love it when Stardom is breaking records after records after records. And right now, you keep that belt on Kamitani. My thing is, at least for now, Kamitani gets a win here. And I don't know if Sayaka turns heel or if it's just one of those Mayu things where she's constantly losing to a Uedo Tai and constantly losing members. I think Saya, again, I'll give my official prediction next week. I think Kamitani gets the win. I think that Sayaka joins Hate, and then we see the breakdown of Tam, and then we slowly start to see her build back up. And maybe because she didn't get any wins in the 5-star Grand Prix, maybe she flips it and wins this year's 5-star Grand Prix, and that's how she gets her big championship match at Kamitani at Dream Queendom at the end of this year. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways they can go about it, and a lot of them are the right turn as long as they're keeping the feud hot, as long as they're keeping the company hot. And I think having Kamitani up top and doing this thing with Tam, again, this match starts out, as soon as the bell rings, they stare at each other, and the crowd is all for it. Rob, they didn't even do anything. Then they're missing kicks, and they're missing punches because they know each other. So they're not even hitting each other. And the crowd is all into it because of the great chemistry that these two have. And then all they do is slap each other really hard. And then all of a sudden, Natsupoi comes in. Her and Konami, they have a great exchange. I liked how Tor is like the hammer here, and the only way for them to stop Tor, it takes male tier teamwork. You're taking the former Goddess of Stardom champions, former red belt and white belt champion Tam and Natsupoi to take down Tor. So I like how they make Tor look like a monster here, because you can easily make it like Tor's kind of throwaway here, because you have Kamitani and you have Konami, because we just spent a lot of these shows building up Konami and Shuri, where Tor is, supposed to be the leader of this group, but no offense, she's kind of least interesting, at least in this match, because of all the other things we have going on. So I like how they make Tor look like an absolute badass here. Again, the underlining story of Sayaka Kurora and Kamitani. Kamitani's trying to constantly get in Sayaka Kurora's ear, only for Sayaka to really, really get fired up. Eventually, though, Tam accidentally super kicks. She tries to come in for the save. She accidentally super kicks Sayaka Kurora. Natsuko Tora pulls out Tam. Kamitani hits the Star Crusher. This is great storytelling. I made mention about how I'm loving the storytelling going on with AEW, with Mariah May and Toni Storm. The fact that they're doing this level of storytelling, but not with one program, but all over the company, with Tam, with Sayaka Kurora, with Kamitani, with Konami versus Shuri, with Mayu versus pretty much everybody, with FWC and Wingor. Like, the storytelling going on, everybody has something to do in this company. But this story, we don't know which way it's going to go. We made mention the last 2 or 3 weeks. Does Tam eat the L? Does Tam get the win and get the title match? Is it Aya Sakura that turns heel? Is it Sayoriano that turns heel? There's so many different ways that we can go about it. We don't know. We're going to be watching at the end of the month, partner. As far as this match goes, I thought this match was terrific. As far as a standalone match, I thought this was great. Again, Mel Tier is phenomenal. Saya Kamitani was great. Saya Kamitani and Natsupoi, they had a great championship match for the Wonder of Stardom championship match. I can't believe that match is 3 years ago, partner.
Oh, no.
3 years ago. And again, I made mention, if we're doing this Tam's road back to the red belt, and it's a long road, as it should be, you got to put Natsupoi in there with a big championship match with Saya Kamitani, because their chemistry here was terrific. I had this match at 4 stars. It was great action and great storytelling, as we're constantly getting little tidbits of what's going to happen at the end of this month? And I don't know, but I'm really intrigued, partner.
I am going to go on record and say I don't think Tam needs the belt again. I think there is a case to be made, certainly, to keep this feud going 100%. A money feud, as proved. It's drawing tickets, as proved. I don't think that Tam needs that red belt again, though. And I don't think Stardom need Tam to have that red belt again. She can be in the picture 100%. I don't think she needs it.
I see your point, but this story, the closing, at least on this chapter, has to be Tam finally getting that win over Kamitani, because we thought it was going to happen. We thought it was going to happen at Dream Kingdom, and it didn't. Like, oh, this is just the start of something. And again, Tam, it's an easy argument. She's the biggest draw in this company's history. Maybe she's the first one to win the red belt 3 times. I don't know. We'll see what happens, buddy. I'm all about the journey. I am all about the journey. The destination is always great, but I'm all about the journey. So we'll see what happens when we get there. But Tam has to win. She has to beat Saya Kamitani. That's wrestling 101. The babyface eventually beats the heel, but you don't beat the heel when they're as red hot. You see what I did there? As Saya Kamitani, you don't. She's the coolest thing in wrestling. And again, maybe it's my Stardom bias. There's nothing cooler in wrestling than Saya Kamitani. Literally to the point where somebody made a YouTube video, I sent it to you, of doing a guitar solo to Saya Kamitani's theme. That's pretty. I don't know what it was. It was pretty badass, but she's the most interesting person in wrestling to me. Is Saya Kamitani, this new persona, great worker, top of the company, drawing huge amount of tickets on the big shows. Again, it's the age-old story. Eventually, Tam has to get that win. Not now. I think you have to play it out at least until the snow starts coming again at the end of this year.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say, obviously we will move on in a moment, but what if Sayaka Kurora is forced to join Hate, and similarly to when Mayu had to do what was effectively the 7 labors of Hercules to get Starlight Kid back from Oedo Tai, and then Starlight Kid was like, nah, I quite like it here. They've got cigarettes and My Chemical Romance. What about if, rather than winning the red belt and making this burning passion about the red belt, what if it's Tam Nakano defeating Saya Kamitani to win Sayaka Kurora back? That could, in theory, wrap up that storyline without taking the red belt off Saya Kamitani. Because for me, at least, it's not Tam that takes the belt off Saya. It's Maika.
Or Momo.
I mean, you've got different options there. I'm not saying that Tam doesn't beat Saya in a high-stakes match. That has to happen. Otherwise, the storyline is pointless. I agree with you. But does that high-stakes match have to be a title match? Or can it be Tam pinning Saya in a one-on-one match where the winner gets to keep Sayaka Kurora? Something like a Sayaka Kurora on a pole match.
Or Rob, again, Kamitani wins this tag match, and then Tam's like, no, I need her back. And she's like, I'm not going to give you a red belt match. I'll give you a singles match. And if I win, Cosmic Angels breaks up. Or Tam,
exactly.
we haven't seen it in a while. Tam, you got to shave your head.
Yeah, I think that works. I think that is actually a far more compelling story than just having the red belt, because otherwise we'll have seen Tam Nakano as the red belt champion 3 times in 3 years.
What's wrong with that?
I know there's nothing wrong with that, buddy. I know. But I do think that you are, I don't know, there might be a bit of oversaturation with it. Tam's great and obviously needs to be in that picture. I completely understand that. But I think you could still run that story without the red belt. I think you can run that story. I really like the hair versus hair idea, or, some sort of high stakes match like that. Just a singles match with Cosmic Angels on the line, or something like that. I actually massively prefer that idea. We should probably move on to the rest of the matches, because there were other matches on this card, and this is another fantastic example of Aya Sakura. And again, the work that she does, we built on the Hanan singles match from Kobe. We built on the tremendous work that Momo Kohgo has been doing for seemingly the last a handful of months. And obviously, Sayori, I know everything she touches at the moment is a tremendous match. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. I really did, Matt.
The one thing I want to make mention here that I don't think we made mention at the last show we reviewed is Mayu, Momo, Kohgo, and Hanan teaming up, and they're paying tribute to Saya Ida with those chops, and then doing the gorilla pose, which I thought was funny. But those chops wouldn't break an egg; they were awful. If I was Saya Ida, I'd be like, "I love you, girls." But holy jeez, those are some of the worst chops I've ever seen.
We saw Mayu Iwatani physically boo Momo Kohgo at Korakuen for how bad her chops were. It was quite funny.
And as you know, Rob, because you've tasted my forearms. I am a hard hitter wrestler. Kicks, the knees, the forearms. I am not a good chopper. That's why I don't chop. I will take chops, but I'm not a good chopper. And Momo Kohgo, God bless her, she's a great wrestler, not a great chopper. Even Hanan, one of the best wrestlers in this company, not a great chopper. This was just another terrific tag match. Great tag work back and forth. Soriano, Aya Sakura starts off this match hot. Eventually, Hanan gets the better of her. Hot tag to Soriano, and Soriano is just so explosive. That step up in Seguri. She does that spot what looks like she's going for the Muda lock, and then she does like the Muda lock and the fisherman suplex, the perfect plex at the same time. I mean, Soriano is she's such a special wrestler. We say it each and every week, or we're going to continue to say it each and every week, because I honestly think that God put her on earth to be a pro wrestler, because she's like the prototype perfect wrestler. Just a great seller, great tag wrestler, great singles wrestler, can make anybody look good. Great stuff with Momo Kohgo, making Momo Kohgo look legit. The fact that she can almost be a former Wonder of Stardom champion. Ultimately, though, again, great stuff with Hanan and Soriano. Those two, I may mention before. I'm going to, again, great chemistry here. But ultimately, it boils down to a mini singles match with Momo Kohgo and Aya Sakura. And Aya Sakura must have been watching her Pride DVDs from the early 2000s, because she hits a Mirko Crocop style kick to almost get like a knockout win over Momo Kohgo. Obviously, she gets the cover. Really great match. The fact that it went like 9 minutes, nothing was wasted. The psychology was there. Everybody looked really good. And then you just did the exclamation point with just a brutal finish from Aya Sakura. Again, getting another win here with a brutal strike. I had this one at the solid 4 stars. Good, sir.
Yeah, one of my favorite matches on the card. This one, definitely one that I would encourage people to check out alongside the main event and the semi-main, which we're going to be talking about shortly. But before we do that, the 3-on-4 handicap match, Stars proving that it doesn't matter the numbers if your numbers are as good as Stars Triple Crazy STC. Is that what they're called together? I think they are. But yeah, again, a solid performance from Stars. And again, there's always that Hazuki violence that we can rely on, Matt.
One of the funny things about this match is before the match starts, you see Stars making their entrance, and then Mayu whispers something to Hazuki, and I was like, oh, what's that about? And then Mayu goes in the back, and then she comes out, she forgot her glove. I thought that was... It's forgivable because it's Mayu. She whispers something to Hazuki, and then it's just like, oh, well, that's really weird. What was that about? Because like I think you're not calling spots, and then she leaves. I was like, what is this? I'm like, oh, she forgot her glove. Of course.
How do you forget that glove? It's massive.
It's like I can't tell you how many times, and I know he's going to listen to this when we air this on a Friday or Saturday. I can't tell you how many times me and Head are in a tag match, and we're tag champs, and he forgets the belt. Like as the music's going, it's like he forgets the belt. And it's a good thing we come out to Anthrax Metal thrashing mad, because then we're just waiting for the song to kick up. Like no, Header forgot the belt yet again. But consistency is key, my man. He's the Mayu of the team.
Absolutely.
Meaning he's the better of the two. But I liked how this match is it just really Stars kind of just beating up the rookies, and then Maika comes in and she's the hammer. And the only thing that stops Maika is the teamwork of FWC, which again, if you're coming up with a strategy plan in this match, like we're outnumbered 4-3, however, it's 3 rookies and a main eventer. Let's try to divide and conquer. And what they do is every time Maika comes in, drops the hammer, it's my opinion, the best tag team in all of wrestling. FWC that really kind of puts away one Maika. Eventually, we do get the triple Stars drop kick to one Akira. Poor Akira. Maika comes in and cleans house. However, though, it's Kagama with the Kuma roll onto the Akira for the 3 count. Again, great match. All 3 of these younger wrestlers, Uriah, Akira, and Rion, look terrific here. Again, Mayu and FWC gave them enough to look credible. Ultimately, though, Maika comes in, cleans house, like the main eventer that she is. And really great stuff with Maika and Mayu. Again, their match and the semifinals of the 5-star Grand Prix. It's one of the best matches in all of 2023. And it's a match I highly advise everybody goes back and checks out, because it's a really terrific match. More Hazuki versus Maika violence. Again, they had a great match in last year's 5-star Grand Prix.
Mm-hmm.
But I like how Koguma, again, you're outnumbered 4-3. We got to get a win. Let's try to sneak one with a quick win. I like that. 3 3/4 stars. And nice to see the Bear getting a win here on a Stardom show.
Absolutely. We love that. And what we also love is that the greatest wrestler on the face of the planet, Fukigen Death, will be rightly where she deserves to be on the 3rd of March, and that is in a championship match at Korakuen Hall. Obviously, courtesy of beating Yuna Mizumori by reversing a pinfall. Mei Sarah comes to the ring, the current high-speed champion, and says she wants to defend it against Fukigen Death. And that has been made official. 3rd of March in Korakuen Hall, Naita show. And Fukigen Death had significant words of wisdom and was very sort of introspective during this promo, saying words such as death and death and death. It was pretty much just death, actually, come to think of it. But even so, that is our high-speed title match for Korakuen Hall, Matt. Do you think Fukigen Death is more likely to suit the new rule set more than Saki Kashima did?
Just want to point out this promo you just talked about. You talk about that Dusty Rhodes hard time promo. Like, it's right. This is right up there with it, buddy. Let's
Absolutely. You felt the emotion.
Right? So I'm like, oh my God, my death. Yeah. It was weird. I didn't know this match was official for Korakuen. I was just looking at the ticket sales for Korakuen, and it's a nighter, which we said sometimes it's a little tough for them to draw. They have all the sections of Korakuen are sold out except for 2, and I think they're both like few tickets left. So we're probably looking at another 1,200-1,300 in Korakuen. Now I know why it's sold out. It's almost sold out is because of Fukigen Death.
So what you're saying, Matt? So what you're saying? Sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm just that excited.
Please.
Are you telling? So obviously we've just spent a lot of time about talking about Tam Nakano selling tickets and being at the top of the company. What I'm hearing is that Fukigen Death is almost single-handedly selling out Korakuen Hall. Surely it should be Fukigen Death who is dethroning Saya Kamitani for this red belt. Proven draw, Fukigen Death.
Rob, one of my favorite metal songs of all time is Peace Sells, but for this segment it's gonna be Death Sells. But who's buying?
Buddy.
Apparently everybody in Korakuen. To answer your question, I think with the rule set, considering the fact, like you look at this match, right? And I think Yuna's eventually going to get another shot at Mei Sarah because we kind of we teased that a little bit. But you have that 2 out of 3 falls, and 3 falls are going to go less than 10 minutes or 10 minutes for the time limit. The fact that Fukigen Death can beat you at any time, and so can Mei Sarah. So I like that. I like the fact that we're going to get like a boom, 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 really, really quick match. And that's what this match was. It looked like Yuna was just kind of had the advantage out of nowhere. There comes the O'Connor roll, and we get the death metal hand signal gimmick, and that's the end of the match. And that can happen to Mei Sarah. Do I, unfortunately, Robin, you're going to be upset with me. Do I see Fukigen Death winning this match? No. But however, she will win your heart, which is just as important than the high-speed championship, folks. He's so disappointed. This match was fine, 3 1/4 stars, but ultimately what this was is just kind of a bridge for that Mei Sarah versus Fukigen Death match there, where you're going to be getting in front of well over 1,000 people in Korakuen Hall. Because like I said, Rob, death sells, but who's buying?
The disrespect on Fukigen Death's name right now is unacceptable. Did you happen to see, by the way, I can't remember who tagged me in it. I'm so sorry. But someone tagged me in something on Twitter. And did you see how Fukigen Death dressed for the Hate Awards? In like this clown suit. It was incredible. I want one. If they are selling them in Vegas, I will 1,000% buy one.
I don't know, considering the fact that in Philadelphia they brought like a few shirts and that was it. So I don't know if they're going to be selling a clown suit. Maybe we can make you one, buddy. Hold on. It is your birthday the day or two before we leave. So hold on. I do have a very, very talented wife that is all about giving. So let's see if she makes you a clown suit and pack it into my bag for Vegas. Don't lose that clown suit, TSA.
Semi-main event, and obviously this was fantastic. God's Eye versus Neo Genesis. Syuri, incredible. beautiful stuff with Starlight Kid in particular. Obviously, they had a fantastic 5-star Grand Prix match in 2024. That was brilliant. However, the focus in this match was on 2 women, Rana Yagami, and most importantly, Lady C. Lady C started the match brilliantly, closed the match brilliantly, most importantly, got a decisive win over a major member of this roster. Azumi absolutely flattens her with the big boot. We've said it about 300 times on this podcast. She should only ever use that as her finisher, that big boot. It was fantastic. It was well timed. Absolutely steamrolled through Azumi. And because of this, not only has Lady C picked up a victory, looked like it was the best thing in the world to her as well, which immediately endeared her even more to me. She's now challenging for the Artist of Stardom Championships. We obviously don't know which members of God's Eye are going to be with her. There was a backstage thing that was filmed, I think, by Kyoko Katatsu, of Lady C and Shiori crying together, which I thought was very sweet. You would assume that that is because she's asked Shiori to team with her. Hopefully it was good tears. But yes, great moment for Lady C, who we have been sort of endlessly advocating for to get more opportunities. And I've said before, it feels like they're in a holding pattern with Lady C until Amisori can return so that they can do a Reiwa Tokyo Towers run for the Goddess belts. But this is the perfect spot for Lady C. Give her a couple of key victories and have her challenge for those Artist of Stardom belts. She isn't going to win, and I am absolutely fine with that. I'm not saying belt up Lady C, though of course you should be, except for the red belt, because we know that's going to fucking death. But in terms of her positioning on the card, this is perfect, because I think over this run of 4 shows, they've done a good job with Lady C and how well she's done from fighting from underneath.
I like how you brought that back. You were all over the place. Fucking Death winning the red belt, belt up Lady C. But good job, buddy. I'm like, I don't know. I know where I don't know where we're going. But how are we getting there? We eventually got there. But red belt clown is all for it, folks. See, now you're happy. I guess, yeah, there it is. This match starts out, you're absolutely right. Lady C and Mei Sarah. And again, you're like, the matchup I don't think I'd ever seen before, but like Lady C does a great job using her strengths to kind of slow down the fastest wrestler on the planet, one Mei Sarah. I really like that. And then they tag out. We get Rana Yagami and Suzu Suzuki. And it went from like really fast, like high intense wrestling to these two just snap-nearing each other and kicking each other. I was like, oh yeah, this is great. This is right up my wheelhouse. Really great hard-hitting stuff. Again, I talked about how Azumi has natural chemistry with every wrestler in this company and has for a long time. Her stuff with Sherry is terrific. I mean, just really, really great stuff. Again, go back to I think it was night 1 of the 2022 5-star Grand Prix. They have an absolute banger. They had a great match at the Valentine's Day. Speaking of Valentine's Day, the Valentine's Day Corkin back, I believe, in 2021 for Sherry's SWA Championship, if you remember that belt. But they have great chemistry, and they have great chemistry here. And obviously, there's some phenomenal teamwork with Azumi, Starlight Kid, and Mei Sarah. Arguably, the 1, 2, and 3 greatest high-speed champions of all time. And the fact that it's just like it's blitzing, it makes sense. The teamwork is there. The timing is there. The ring positioning is there, which I thought was great. Kyoko Katatsu has some really great stuff with Azumi and Suzu Suzuki. Excellent stuff there. We get the Neo Genesis corner dropkick. I love that. Whether it's 4 boots, whether it's 6 boots, 8 boots, sometimes 10 boots. I don't know how they do that. The corner drop, but that's like a staple of Neo Genesis. It has to happen in every match. It's like Fukin Death and Cork and Hall roll up. Neo Genesis multi-person match. Somebody's eating at least 6 boots. I love that spot. Kyoko Katatsu and Sherry, they get the advantage back with kick sandwiches to poor Azumi. They must have thought it was Natsupoi there because they really took the boots to one poor Azumi. And then there's this really great segment here with Lady C and Azumi. Lady C hits the big choke slam for a 2 count. We get this. I mean, this is phenomenal teamwork. We have Starlight Kid hitting the 619 that goes into the Crazy Star lung blower German suplex that goes into the Azumi double stomp.
It was brilliant. It was seamless.
Not only that, but like the positioning in them, because you're going to save that towards the end, but it was like one after another, because again, Mei Sarah and Suzu, they have the tag title match coming up. So it's like you're reminded again how great this team is. And again, Starlight Kid starts it, the double team working. You're like, whoa, big whoa. Again, you're building 619 looks awesome. Lung blower German suplex. That was great. Then all of a sudden you just see Azumi coming down 1,000 miles an hour planning the double stomp. that was terrific. And then it's like Shuri being the ass kicker and the leader of this faction. It's like, enough's enough. I got to say, my girl ADC. She comes in, hits a brutal head kick to Azumi. If that wasn't enough, Azumi turns around and gets hit with just an insane, flattening big boot. And then Lady C properly has a really good cradle. You know me, I love a really good cover. Probably even a little bit more than I love a good lockup. But that's another debate for another time. Gets the cover on Azumi and gets the 3 count. Again, Rob, I've been covering this company since 2021, and you've been covering it since 2019. So I think between me and you, we've seen every single Lady C match. I think this is the only time she's ever pinned like a main eventer. Again, Azumi was just in the Tokyo Dome. I think this is the only time she's ever, I mean, obviously we'd really have to think about it, but I don't think she's ever pinned a big star like this, like Azumi. And I liked how Shuri set it up. And I liked how Lady C just completely wiped out Azumi. And you made it, obviously, you know, she's got the, the reverse Oklahoma Stampede, like that Dominator. The choke slam is really good. The giant swing is really good. But the fact that she hits this huge boot, we've seen her do it in the corner before, like the El Generico, Sami Zayn, Halua kick. We've seen him do it before. But the way that she hits this on Azumi, credit to Azumi, because she sold this like she was dead. Like she sold this like a gunshot.
Yeah.
But if they're like, okay, we're going to get Lady C a big win here, and it's not going to be by a roll up, what do you want to win with here for your statement win? And this is her new finisher, and rightfully so. It makes sense because you're beating somebody that's one of the best wrestlers in the world in the coolest faction that just won the unit league, the whole nine. Everything is coming up Neo Genesis. And for Lady C to get the win here to set up the next match, I think the big boot is going to be your finish moving forward because you're establishing not only a win here, you're establishing a big finish, and that's the big boot. As far as who she's going to team with, obviously, I hope it's Shuri because again, you can say, well, Natsupoi is the best overall wrestler in Cosmic Game. It's debatable. The best wrestler in God's eye, no one's going to debate it, is Shuri. Like it's Shuri. And the fact that we're coming off our first, the Dave Meltzer first ever 5-star match, he's given a women's match in 3 or 4 years, and you're having that Azumi, Starlight Kid, and Miyu Amasaki in said match. You need to follow that up with another really good match. Is it going to be as good against the Work Rate Angels? Probably not, but it's still going to be excellent. So you have Lady C, Shuri, and then who else do you go for that third person? I think it's got to be Shuri. Is it Kyoto Kotatsu? Is it Ron Yugami? Is it Tomoka Inaba?
I think it's Rana.
I'll be honest with you, Rob, that third slot doesn't matter. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
I agree.
It's going to be great. But what a great shot it would be for Rana. Kyoto Kotatsu has this MMA background. Tomoka Inaba, no disrespect to the other members of God's Eye, probably the second best overall worker behind Shuri. But I think that's a great shot for Rana. I really do. Regardless, the match is going to be excellent. Even if it's not Shuri. Shuri's like, you know what? I'm going to stand back. You ladies take it. Maybe it's Lady C, Rana, and Kyoto Kotatsu. Any way you slice it, it's going to be terrific. But again, this was great because we keep making mention. They're doing something with everybody in this company. The poor Lady C. Literally to the point where it's just like, maybe Lady C should go over to Marigold because so she's not lost in the shuffle. But boy, howdy, they got her over in one match, Rob, because we keep seeing how great she is on these quote-unquote Stardom World shows, and you're just waiting for something to break out. She broke out that foot.
She did.
On Azumi's face.
It was great. Moving on then to the main event, Miyu Amasaki and Hanako going to the time limit draw. I don't mind this going to the time limit draw at all for a number of reasons, really. It gives Miyu Amasaki a little bit more of a run with this singles belt. Hanako has the chance to go for another shot at this belt, which I think is where we're probably going to go. I reckon we're probably going to see Hanako dethrone Miyu Amasaki. And this was a great performance. Miyu Amasaki fought from underneath. Hanako looked like an absolute bully throughout this entire match. And aside from one rather obviously pulled clothesline that led to, unfortunately, the finish right at the end, I thought the rest of the match was absolutely great. I thought it was a really good performance from Hanako, who was aggressive, which is what I want from her. I want her to be this aggressive powerhouse. That's what she needs to be. I thought Miyu Amasaki did a wonderful babyface performance, relying on DDTs and transitioning beautifully out of the JP coaster into one. Overall, really, really, really good performance from both women. What did you think about the result?
I think maybe Hanako, 2 or 3 weeks ago, was penciled in to win this match. And then they were like, we got something special with Miyu Amasaki. I said partner a couple seconds ago. I think Hanako's eventually won to dethrone her, but maybe it's like, let's keep this belt on Miyu Amasaki because there's more mileage out of it. And again, let's start defending this belt on New Blood shows. We keep mentioning about how the attendance is up is everywhere except for New Blood shows. What do they need? Maybe Miyu Amasaki, who they're building up. Again, she's in the cool faction, which I'm going to get into a second about this fun that Neo Genesis is having. But like, let's put her on some of these New Blood shows because we're building her up again. She's in the cool faction. She's on a great roll. It would make sense to maybe start putting some future of Stardom Championship matches on the New Blood shows with Miyu Amasaki because she's somebody else that's starting to draw tickets. And again, we made mention about 2.5 hours ago. She's got more 5-star matches than Kurt Angle. So I mean, right? I mean, let's strike while the iron's hot.
You are factually correct.
I am. Hey, let me tell you, my friend. I thought this was really funny when Miyu was coming to the ring and she's so like focused. And then all of a sudden you see coming behind them running is Suzu and I believe Mei Sarah, and they hold the ropes open for her because they just had the match before. And then properly, Miyu didn't realize it because she's so focused and sees them and she pops and she starts laughing because they literally came at the last second, like, oh, we got a second you for this match. I thought that was really funny and properly popped me because again, she was so focused. Like, you know, I got this Hanako is this big imposing person. I'm like, oh, there you are. Ha ha ha. Again, they're just the cool faction. They're the cool kids. This match, styles make fights, two completely different styles. They did a great job building this match up in these shows that we just talked about. And I liked how Miyu early on is trying to grind Hanako down with the headlock, really trying to wear down Hanako. And it's Hanako's size and strength, and Miyu just having a little bit more experience and is able to counter with those DDTs. And there's one time she goes to the well once too often, my Gorilla Monsoon reference of the show. She goes for that pop-up DDT, and Hanako, very much like learning from her master, like Maika, stops the DDT and is able to deadlift Hanako with that stalling suplex. I really like that. Great stuff back and forth. I didn't know how this was going to go. And the match was really, really solid. And then the ending was kind of just odd because it's just like, I don't know if she was supposed to duck the DDT and go through a roll-up. Maybe she was going for that leg capture O'Connor roll. Maybe that's what she was going for. It just seemed like it was a really solid match and just a little miscommunication at the end. Regardless, didn't take away from my enjoyment of this match. I had set 4 stars. Solid match. Again, I think we're going to kind of pad out this Miyu Amasaki run because she's still got legs. And then eventually I think it's Hanako that is going to dethrone her. But again, you don't take, even though the future of Stardom Championship, no disrespect, it's low on the totem pole. At the same time, I think they've realized that they can draw on New Blood shows with her as champion.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be a nice moment for Hina as well. I'd love to say that I think Hina is going to dethrone her at Path of Thunder, but I'm not too sure if that's going to happen. We'll see. But overall, a really good match. Miyu Amasaki was very, very clear in saying, I want you to challenge me again, Hanako. I need to beat you cleanly. And, you know, Hanako has every right to challenge, as I mentioned. Not only did he go to a draw, Hanako, as you mentioned, Matt, 65% of the offense was Hanako. And at the last bell, as that last bell rang, Hanako was the person on top. Hanako was the person going for that pinfall. So I would be amazed if it's anybody else dethroning Miyu Amasaki at the end of this run apart from Hanako. But again, stranger things have happened. It is Stardom. That being said, Matt, before we go into Io and Kairi watch, or just Io watch, because Kairi is currently in Japan, apparently, backstage at Marigold shows. We have had the shows announced for the shows in Takasaki and in Fuji. I apologize. I believe I said it was tomorrow, the Stardom show. It's not. It's the 15th and the 16th, not the 14th and the 16th. I was getting mixed up with Marigold. Marigold run tomorrow in Sendai Pit. However, let's run through these cards. Unfortunately, still no Saki Kashima, as I mentioned before. The 15th of February, Stardom in Takasaki in Jimes Gunma. This is the card. Mayu Iwatani and Hanan versus Suzu Suzuki and Akira Kuragani. Aya Sakura versus Uriah Hime versus Fukigen Death. Natsupoi and Yuna Mizumori versus Tomoka Inaba and Rana Yagami. Hazuki and Koguma and Momo Kohgo, they will be taking on Maika, Hanako, and Rian. Azumi and Miyu Amasaki 0-2 line will be taking on Hina and Lady C of God's Eye. Starlight Kid and Mei Sarah are going to be taking on Azusa Inaba and who on earth is that? Rena. Apologies, Devil Princess. 8-woman tag match, presumably your main event. Tam Nakano and Sayaka Kurora and Shiori and Kyoko Katatsu. They're going to be taking on the hate team of Saya Kamitani, Natsuko Tora, Konami, and Ruaka. Matt, what do you think about that card for the show in Takasaki?
Solid card, especially with the FWC versus Team Classroom. That looks really good. Yeah. Yuna and Natsupoi teaming up. They're always a fun team. Fuki and Death in a 3-way. So you know how that's going to go. Again, Death sells. Who's buying? You are, Rob Goodwin. You are good,
I am
sir.
indeed. Red belt clown.
And I like how we saw this towards the end of last year, and we're seeing it again. We have the factions teaming up to take on hate in what's probably going to be that main event when you kind of have an all-star team with Tam and Shuri try to upend, obviously they have their respective feuds going on with Konami and Saya Kamitani. So again, another really solid card. Again, it's Stardom. Nothing's going to be bad, but that one looks like a really, really fun card with some great tag team wrestling, which partner, I always love.
And then moving on to Fuji in Fujisan Mess in Shizuoka. The show card is as follows. Mayu Utani, Hazuki, and Koguma. They're going to be taking on Natsupoi, Yuna Mizumori, and Uriah Hime. Rina, Akira Kuragani versus Fukigen Death in another 3-way battle. Again, Fukigen Death for the win there. Tag match, Maika and Hanako versus Tomoka Inaba and Kyoko Katatsu.
Whoa. You're going to be hearing a lot in that match, Rob? Kick, forearm, kick.
Absolutely. 3-way tag match. Hanan and Momo Kohgo versus Mei Sarah and Miyu Amasaki versus Hina and Lady C. That's another interesting matchup. 6-woman tag, Starlight Kid, Azumi, and Suzu Suzuki. They're going to be taking on Konami, Ruaka, and Rina. And then in your main event, 6-woman tag match. This will be the final match before Utsu no Maya, I believe. Tam Nakano, Sioriano, and Sayaka Kurora. They're going to be taking on Natsuko Tora, Saya Kamitani, and Azusa Inaba. Some really tasty matchups, Matt, in Fuji.
Yeah, what I noticed too is no Mina Shirakawa, so probably still selling the injury because we still haven't heard what the injury is. Again, hopefully
we have not.
Hopefully it's all just a work. But yeah, some really, really solid stuff. Again, we're really driving home this Tam Saya Kamitani story, at least for now. Again, I don't know what's going to happen in about a week and a half's time, but again, I'm really interested. These 2 cards look fantastic. Can't wait to watch them and come back next week with you, Mr. Rob Goodwin, and talk about Fukigen Death. Not only will she go 2-0, but there are 3 ways that she's in, right? So technically, she will have 4 wins in 2 days.
All must fall to the grace of the clown. Matt Turner. If I may, I would shout, but Kirsty's in bed and she will kill me if I wake her up. So a very subdued Io and Kairi watch time.
Rob Goodwin, I knew this would be a special Io and Kairi watch when I woke up Tuesday morning with a whole bunch of messages. And of course, one of them was our man, Darren Chatton, giving me time cues, saying this is an absolute must-see match. And then I got a phone call on Tuesday from our buddy Chad. Yes, that Chad. Hi, Chad. How are you? And I figured because he's a massive football fan, I thought he wanted to talk about the Super Bowl. No, he said, and I quote, your girl, Io Shirai, absolutely stole the show on Monday Night Raw. Then on Wednesday, I walk into my comic shop, and everybody wanted to talk about one Io. I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch this match anyway because it's part of the segment of Io and Kairi watch. Rob Goodwin, Io, Dakota Kai, Liv Morgan. Yes, the dastardly Liv Morgan, the higher-rated wrestler Liv Morgan. And
91.
Yes, 91 Liv Morgan, we're going to call her. Tiger Driver 91, Morgan 91, and 1 Raquel Gonzalez or Rodriguez, whatever they're calling her. A lot of people told me this is probably the best women's tag match in WWE history. I would have to really sit down and think about it, but this was great. Io and Dakota do some Stars/Neo Genesis offense, like really fast-paced offense on Raquel to get the advantage. Eventually, Raquel hits a massive lariat on Dakota Kai. Io comes in, all sorts of hot handspring dropkick to Liv Morgan, and then Raquel comes in, cleans house, huge big boot, almost as stiff as Lady C did to Azumi, but not as much.
Not quite, yeah.
Not as much to Io. We get heat on Io. Hot tag to Dakota Kai, which is usually weird. Usually they do the hot tag to Io because she's the more explosive wrestler, but Dakota Kai looked phenomenal here. She comes in, cleans houses with those kicks. Excellent stuff there. She hits a pair of almost like Natsupoi style basement drop kicks, sending the heels to the outside. Io hits the picture perfect suicide dive to the floor, tosses in 91 with Morgan into the ring, hits a insane joke. Somebody took a picture of Io midair with this Joshi drop kick, and she's like levitating in air. It's a beautiful, beautiful picture. I mean, she's on another level here, Io. Io bullet train to Liv Morgan for a 2 count. Liv and Raquel, they come in. They hit a heart attack lung blower combination onto Io for a 2 count. That was really impressive. Raquel tries to powerbomb 91 Liv Morgan onto Io. Io gets the knees up. I thought that was excellent. Io hits a German suplex onto Liv Morgan. Dakota Kai comes in. She hits the chiropractor, which is basically her jumping over in the lung blower onto Raquel. I thought that was great. Liv comes in, hits an Oblivion onto Dakota Kai. When she goes for the cover, Io comes in and breaks it up with almost like a version of the Shining Wizard. And when she does, she busts open Liv Morgan. For real. Liv is half her face is covered in blood. She got her really good. And I could be wrong. I went back and rewound it. I thought Io yelled 91 my ass. I could be, I could be wrong. 13 what or whatever she was. Yeah. Io hits the Quesadora double stomp to Liv Morgan and the top rope moonsault to put this one away, giving Io Shirai a really big win. And we do know that the Monday after the Elimination Chamber, we are getting Io versus Rhea Ripley. Unfortunately, we thought that was the match we're getting at WrestleMania, but a lot of speculation. Maybe this will lead to maybe a 3-way we have at WrestleMania. I don't know, but I don't understand how you take Io off WrestleMania and don't give her a big match because she really is holding up the women's division. This was great. Again, as far as a WWE style tag match goes, this is next level. Is it Crazy Star versus FWC? No, but at the same time, Io was the clear MVP here. I mean, she looked amazing. The crowd was in Memphis, Tennessee. Or was it Memphis or Nashville? I think it was Nashville. The crowd was absolutely molten hot for Io. Again, she is somebody. I'm not just saying this because I'm a massive Io Shirai fan. She's somebody that is massively over on these last handful of shows and put in a phenomenal performance. And I'm glad Dakota Kai, who we know, Rob, has had her share of injuries over the last year and a half, but she looked like $1 million here. Excellent, excellent match. Maybe the best performance from 91 Liv Morgan I have ever seen. But regardless, again, this is one, Mr. Goodwin, that I would definitely take time out of your schedule to watch because this was terrific.
Excellent news. And as we know, obviously that title match is going to be happening on the 3rd of March, which makes it the second most important title match to be happening on that night because, as we know, Fukigen Death claims her rightful place at the top, the high-speed division on that day. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we must bring this podcast to an end. We wanted to keep it under 3 hours. We are going to do that with about 12 seconds to spare. So go us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to everyone that has listened, subscribed, and supported this podcast. We really do appreciate every single one of you. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, please consider subscribing. If you haven't already left a review or a comment, it's really easy on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. And if you could leave us a comment, it helps even more to help us be exposed to even more people and spread that good Joshi word. If you fancy all of your episodes early and ad-free, then why not head over to patreon.com/the Stardom Cast, where you get episodes like this for as little as $1 a month early and ad-free, as well as a whole host of bonus content as well. Check out talkjoshi.com for all of your news, reviews, previews, all of that good stuff coming to you. Talkjoshi.com. Social media, we are at the Stardom Cast, apart from Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky, where we are Talk Joshi. You can also talk to me on Twitter at Real Rob Goodwin. Matt Turner, sign us off, good sir.
Folks, questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram, on the Twitter, and the Blue Sky. If you want to shoot me an email, the email address is simply the Stardom Cast 22 stardom@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another fun-filled episode of the Stardom Cast. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do it without you, because like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast. We're all together. Everybody's different. Everybody's special.